Welcome back to another Buff Brain Sportscast Season 2 episode, maybe 19. I don't actually even remember. We are here just for the 49ers are just kicking off here. Lions have the ball. If you're new here, I'm going to save you the trouble. Just go to bigbrainuniversity.com, check out what we do. Basically, in a nutshell, the NFL is Lions score a touchdown right away. Interesting. In like 2 plays.
They're not showing Eminem every fucking play. They show Taylor that.
We've already seen the Chiefs win, so basically we are one chess move away from the NFL saying and confirming that Kevin and I were right at the beginning of the season, saying that the Chiefs and the 49ers were going to be in the Super Bowl. And that Taylor Swift would be at the Super Bowl. It's happening, y'all. It is fucking happening. Confirmed. Kev called it even before this season began. I can't even remember the episode, but now I'm almost going to have to go back and find it because the shit you said keeps coming true.
I said last year to the effect, at last year's Super Bowl, I said, imagine next year's Super Bowl lineup, and I named off like Jay-Z, and I named off, and I said, Taylor Swift probably going to be there somehow.
Oh, we were not far
off.
And
not even KLC was involved.
The only team that we didn't have in the top 4 this year was the Lions.
Yep, and they proved everybody wrong. Guess who's back?
So, right off the bat, you can. The only other channels that are really talking about sports in the way that we are, showing that it's rigged and it's scripted, is Jake the Asshole on YouTube, and he's got like 70,000 subscribers. While he has a subscriber count on us, and was doing picks all year, I still would say that our betting record was a higher percentage, and we called the teams who were going to be there far in advance. So theoretically, you could have just put all your money on the Chiefs being in the Super Bowl at the beginning of the season, and you would have been a sure thing. I mean, now that is a bet. Is that not a bet?
No.
That is a bet. So the NFL, like I said, is one chess move away now from us being 100% spot on with the narrative that was going to unfold this year. And again, we called it from last year. So now with that introduction out of the way, it's been a couple weeks. We didn't cover any of the, insignificant playoff games because what are we going to do? Talk about things that Jake the Asshole does very well by showing the actual plays being scripted. If anybody's interested in that, go check out his channel for that. That has been actually a really solid, not asset to us, but a really augmentation of what we've been putting out there since we started. He's actually going through and showing video of the plays and showing you, like, come on, he's diving at the guy's feet. He's not trying to tackle him. Look at the curved field goals. Like, he's talking about some of the things that we've talked about, absolutely. So great job, and hats off to him. The more I listen to the guy, the less I think he's a shill. But then again, he might just be good at it. Whereas all the other ones are kind of fucking obvious. So welcome everybody. Hopefully, I don't know. Hopefully everything's been going well for everybody. I think we're kind of into the new year now. Coming on the end of January. So I'd say you're almost to Valentine's Day. We're almost to the Super Bowl. I'd say 2024 is well on the way. And man, we'll see where it goes from here, but this one's going to be pretty fun. Let's see, some side topics I do have to talk about today in addition to the game. I mean, talked to a gal that lives in Germany. We had talked a little bit about on the past episodes, kind of the state of the economy and Kev's experience there. Kev, I keep forgetting, but you're going to have to... Kev, my colleague here, is former NSA biostatistics and algorithms expert. So, bringing that to the table, our content is pretty ripe with juice. The juice worth the squeeze type of thing is what I was going for there. Myself, I have 4 college degrees focused on information security and information systems. And then I have a whole kind of another thing. I went to the spiritual university type of thing. I wrote a book about that experience because it's the best way to retell that story. So the university, Diamond Mountain University I went to for that, was actually written about later in a Rolling Stone magazine. So it was actually a very interesting place to be, very relevant to current events that we're seeing. So if anybody's interested in, undertaking that feat of learning some truths that are not widely known, bigbrainuniversity.com, check that out. Kev, you're going to have to hit him with the disclaimer.
All right. Well, we're back. It's January. The year started off as it should. Everybody's back to doing what they're doing. So I'm a world traveler. Lived on 6 continents. Haven't been to Antarctica yet, nor space, but that's another story. But the point is to give some insight to world traveling, to give you a perspective versus perception from somebody that's seen the outside looking in at the United States from the world perspective. I will say that I do not speak for the Department of Defense, nor do I speak for any government agencies, any clandestine services. I speak for myself. Nothing I say on this podcast, verbal or written in comments, the views, thoughts, and opinions expressed are the speaker's own and do not represent the views, thoughts, and opinions of government.
There it is. Beautiful disclaimer.
The material and information presented here is for general information purposes only.
Just like the government documents.
And if anything coincidentally happens
wordy.
3 months, 6 months, there's something I should say that's like, whoa, that's like the Taylor Swift, this whole thing we put together, and we'll get into it.
Right.
I just want to say that's a pure coincidence if it's something that should happen, because when you look at the world from the outside in, you piece things together. Yeah. But it's in a way that's accessed on Google.com. It's just stuff that's ultimately accessed.
Yeah. So, to put that in another perspective for y'all, what him and I have in common was you could probably boil down to pattern recognition and social behavior. A lot of what I was educated with was I was always interested in why are people the way they are. Well, okay, how is a hacker going to use an information system against you? Well, a lot of it was just psychological. So, cybersecurity was information warfare. So finding security and finding truth in information was something that was a methodology that I'm familiar with. And all the patterns and stuff, see, we had to put the disclaimer out there because almost everything we've talked about, so much of what we've talked about since day one has come to fruition to a, kind of a prophetic sort of sense. I guess you could maybe use that word accurately there. And it's at a point where it's like, yeah, okay, now that we're kind of on all the channels now and we're going to be having a wider audience, eventually getting this disclaimer out there is probably a great idea because,
well, just like this, I want to express the things that I've experienced overseas, not exact locations where I've been, but in general text. Yeah. 76 countries, 6 continents. That's a pretty broad spectrum.
It's a very experienced resume to be drawing from.
It is, and
it's
a lot of people wouldn't understand.
Unique to have. It's very unique to have. And a lot of people don't understand it. Yeah.
And when she was talking about information systems,
they just can't relate.
Nope, they can't relate, and they're like, I told somebody about, I've seen the great wonders of the world, and they're like, that shit's fake, and I'm like, I said, there's a difference between truth and fact. I said, your truth is it's fake, but I said the fact is pictures, You tell me all these people that are just taking pictures of pyramid, no, they said it's just a figure.
Yeah,
So what I'm saying,
yeah.
when I talk to people that haven't traveled out of their state or maybe out of the United States, they can't comprehend what's real and what's not. And that's where I have seen the world.
Yeah.
But to try to I'm gonna try to communicate as well as I can to give people a broad spectrum. There's a lot of. It's just. I don't know. It's a shift in thinking, but with information systems, that's one word. The more information you have, how are you going to be one step ahead of the next? Like, what's a contingency plan? What's if this goes wrong? It's no different in daily life. People can use certain skills in their daily life to be up on somebody. So my goal is with the sports and all the other stuff is just incorporate world travels like I have been, but not to be like, well, he said he can't go to Antarctica. Well, what's classified there? I don't know, but somebody would say like, well, I got to report this because he talked about. Hey, you mentioned Antarctica. People are like, whoa, what's going on? I'm like, I don't know. But if I did, I'd have to kill you, or you'd have to kill me, and we don't want that. But I don't know, so there you go. See how that works? It's just a parallel perception versus perspective.
Yeah, indeed, yeah.
And that's all it is.
Yeah, it's an extremely unique and useful resource for someone like me to have, because a lot of the stuff that I talked about and wanted to talk about before even getting into the podcasting thing with you was, shape of the earth type of conspiracy stuff, like, diet, nutrition, like all the conspiracies in that, like all the propaganda, like what's the actual truth. So to have Kevin's, training and expertise and experience all to, bounce that information off of, eventually we arrived at like, look, now that once I pointed a lot of these conspiracies out to Kevin, like, look at the patterns here. It's always the same goddamn thing, right? That those types of things triggered in his brain. And I'm getting to a larger point here that he was talking about, and it's about personal database size, where it's like, when you're presented with information, how well armed are you to defend yourself against that information if it's designed to take advantage of you? Or music, like from Taylor Swift, that's hypnotic as fuck and full of discord. I got a great... Remind me to talk about Discord again. Can you remind me to talk about the Discord and Taylor Swift's music at some point before I get derailed on this?
Yeah.
I want to finish up this point. And the point I'm making is one of the things that I think I even wrote about this in my book is like, when you are presented with information, it triggers everything that all of your database about that information, all of your experience with it. It triggers your autonomous nervous system. This is why a polygraph test works, and let's not segue on that, but I'll reference it there for you. That's why those things work. It's because it triggers a response that your body has to deal with, your thoughts have to process. Even your muscle memory is triggered. So if I say something like, the shape of the earth is a lie, NASA's lying to you, and it's the first time you've heard that, and you're like, oh man, this guy's like off his hinges. What is he talking about? What? NASA couldn't be wrong. They're all not wrong. There's like, your brain just triggers to all the shit that you know. Whereas now, put yourself in Kevin's shoes or someone like my shoes, where like we've been educated to process the information at a different set of or sense of perspective, a little bit different viewpoint than Joe taxpayer has been presented and conditioned with. And we say that as Joe taxpayer, one of you that has been presented and conditioned until we were educated out of it. It's shown a different perspective. And so just in briefly wanted to wrap with you on that and augment that with what you were saying about, having that personal experience to relate from. A lot of people just can't understand it. I guess just a side story, like there's a streamer that plays a video game, and I pop into his streams. His name is Clutchmeister. I don't know his real name, but he plays For Honor, and he's the best For Honor player in the world, arguably, because he's won the most tournaments, hands down. And he's a Catholic gentleman, and I always relate really well with religious people, especially passionate religious people. But one of the things that the Bible talks about is the firmament, and it's like, okay, well, that's shape of the earth related. And it's like, so I popped into his chat, you know, and it's kind of like, I don't try to really force the issue, but it like, Niners miss a field goal, ouch. So that's an interesting narrative so far. Lions up, San Francisco down 7-0. Missed field goal attempt.
Wait.
Interesting.
Wait. See that guy was controlling.
Yeah.
That guy was from his phone.
And just to make the story quick about that, because I don't want to belabor on it, it's been an interesting experience to see the response of the people in the chat, and it was just it's kind of like the first time they hear it, they're like, "What? I just can't even." And it's like, all right, y'all, just calm down. But you know, they want to insult you, they want to do this and try to chastise you, and it's like, just, well, come on, grow up a little bit. That shouldn't be like your reaction to something that you've never heard before. It just shouldn't be your reaction. And why is it that way? And that's where something that really interests me is like, why do people react that way? You know, not to bring up my entire story and explain why that's interesting to me, but it's very relevant to what's going on and to the skills and tools and education and experience that we bring to the table to bring the presentation to you.
Yes, that's a good. It's good info.
Yes, and why the disclaimer is there, because they are not involved in that process. It was an organic thing that came to be separate from them. So it's not like Kev is a shill and
I just
I'm a
planted
shill
here
or something. And yeah,
and
no,
they're paying me
it
all
was a
this
little
money.
too organic for that, and I can kind of guarantee you all on that one. Because I'm sure that will come up. Everybody's a little bit suspicious. Plus, we don't have any content that shows our faces, and a lot of people are actually they won't bite a line until they can see you, until they can just, it's something about it. And I understand. It's like, hey, why don't you have any content out there that shows your face? You know, what are you trying to hide? People, they get suspicious, you know. But anyway, I mean, honestly, we've done mostly just super long form content. It's like we started averaging like 3+ hours every time we turn the microphone on, just jam packed with information. Our Big Brain University lessons are 6+ hours, some of them.
Yeah.
You know, not all of it is teaching, preaching, blah blah blah. It's like, oh, we're kind of just hanging out for some of it too. We're doing a little post lesson lounge type of thing.
Yep, that is for sure.
Yeah.
I will tell you though that you can't go to college and get a degree and do what I did or what I did.
That makes
You could use
sense.
skills that is taught you
I needed 4
in
of them.
psychology. Like a psychologist would be a very good, like an interrogator. A psychologist would be a very good polygrapher. Anybody in the psychology field, this understanding the mind is one of those that you can't take an X-ray. You can't. You can predict the unpredictable, but it depends on who you're dealing with. And the other thing is they live in their own matrix. So imagine like a psychologist has all this secret information. They have intelligence of gathered by all these people that they've listened to, and they document and they formulate this. Well, this is what this person's issue is. And in the ops world, the alphabet soups, the other, even like NASA, they use like what I would call imagery. So you take a picture of something and you figure it out, right? You take a picture of a broken bone, you figure it out, and you can, figure out what's best for that. But when it comes to the psychologist, they have like this, they have a code. So what I'm trying to say is, what I learned is that everything that I was taught up to age 18 was bullshit. Everything.
Yeah.
made me today is not anything that I did.
Yeah.
Now there's certain things that I learned growing up that I'm like, when I was like 16, I'm like, I want to travel the fucking world. I want to travel the world.
Yeah, let's go.
Well, then I got to like, well, I got to go to college and what am I going to be, a pilot and fly Delta Airlines? Like, what am I going to do to resource my assets? Nobody had a clue because nobody left anywhere. So I said, so what happens is you either get stuck or you get unstuck. And when you get unstuck, people are like, holy shit, that's not normal.
Right.
But I like I said, I got to where I am today through connections and exposure, meaning I exposed myself to what I was able to offer. I was teachable, trainable, and accountable, and I wanted to see the world. So that's what it was. And then, like any other areas of world travel, I mean, you can get a degree and go teach around the world, but I don't know, man. It's somebody said, well, how do I do that? I'm like, oh man. Well, first of all, you got to figure out where you are in your life. If you are you doing this? Are you doing that? And then it's not just simple. You can go sign up. Be like, I want if I can go travel the world and speak foreign languages. There's got to be. You can go to a college degree, but you might be stuck in Japan only. Now your resources limited. You won't even see 5 continents. You might not travel, but you ain't going to experience living. So that's my advice is, it's not what the fuck you know, it's who you know, and then what do they know, and then you come to a conclusion that, holy shit, we got a crisis in America with a lot of things going on. A lot of people taking it for granted. But I will say, America, I love America. I will tell you, from living overseas in socialist countries and all these other places, I got to see how they live. And it was fine for the short time that I was there, or I was there for a while, just depending on what opportunities prevailed. And I come back to America and I'm like, holy shit, like here we are. So just want to throw that out there. It's nothing like you can just, you gotta network through life. You really have to.
Yeah. And if it's rigged football, football being rigged, that is, what brought you here to listen to the cast? Well, surprise.
Well, life, you can look at, there's a lot of rigged stuff. It's just perception versus perspective.
Yeah,
that's the two key things. 99% of is people can't see, they can't even shift their focus just a little bit.
Yeah. We were just saying that is the people have heard this acronym and this phrase, what you see is what you get. It's also used in software development. It's used in a lot of different places. But when it comes down to it, like he was saying, anything that I was taught in high school, the time I was 18, just throw it right out the fucking window, dude, because it's not even applicable. We can maybe debate some of the math is usable, but it's like, guys, we can learn all this stuff in a different way. All of the 0 to 18 years of our lives was preconditioning just to settle into this stupid ass society where we're fake ass football and we're not even smart enough to know it, And then if we do catch on, we still accept it, because we don't know how to create change in our communities. Because, like we were saying before we started this cast, because we were talking a little bit about Germany again and Japan and South Korea and just socialist countries or socialist programs in countries that aren't fully socialist. And the that acronym, what you see is what you get, came up because America is not that at all. And Kev here is one of the best people that can relay that message to all of us, because he's been to these places and can tell you firsthand how the news apparatus in every different country is like lying to every citizen in their different countries. So that's not just a U.S. problem, but addressing, the people in the U.S., because that's where we come from. So and even, the rest of the world, it's like, well, a lot of Americans we are waking up to the fact that this is not what you see, what we get type of thing. This whole democracy thing, this whole shit show of government, like, that stuff is all scripted and rigged too. Like, how do you think Donald Trump became president? And then everybody's hating on Donald Trump, so all they do is talk about the guy, which is really just promotion these days. It's like they act like they're in such opposition to him just so they can put him in office. That type of thing. They do those types of psyops on us where they just trick us with this shit. Kev here has seen it in so many football games that it was like, when we started doing a podcast, we would usually do it over a football game, and it was like, well, shit, man, the football just became super, super rigged right before our eyes, like in the matter of the last 2 seasons.
Yep. And now you add gambling to it. That's what really inflicted this whole derivative. This was a year of no other for football, and everybody that has watched football, whether you're somebody that just goes and you're not a fan, you're just there for long, I call them the cackling hens, the wives that are really not diehard fans, but they just show up and they're like cheering for every play, and people are mad at her.
When it's like just
and it could be the male too. There's
and then they
guys that don't like football, but their wife is like a diehard Chiefs fan, and he's cheering when he should, and people are criticizing. But I'm telling you, everybody that's watched a 1 minute of football or all the games has seen it all come into the spotlight now. And everybody, I would give it, after this season, especially with everything that's going as scripted, it will be a full another year before it's ultimately like, well, I knew that the whole long it was rigged. Bullshit, you did. Because I heard it from me. People are going to take credit. They're like, we got to get that Kev back into our fucking circle of the crap buckets. We love his entertainment value. He used to bring to the NFL watching. You motherfuckers used to criticize me, so I said, fuck you. Now, it's not the truth, it's the facts. So you know how that truth and fact thing go hand in hand? Uh-huh. So now people are going to come out of the woodwork. Now they're going to start taking credit and be like, well, he just hypothesized because
you'll hear the excuses.
But you know what? You go over to Germany, you go to Japan. I wouldn't necessarily say baseball's rigged over there, but I can tell you that they clap with their win or lose. Japan is a very gracious country where I've been in a baseball game, and some of these pitchers were going to go on to play in the major league someday. This is like training camp for baseball. So I'm sitting in the crowd and I'm analyzing. They're all like cheering for everything. They want to see success on both sides. There's no like, I'm the fucking this team, but maybe my son's a pitcher, or they're like, everybody has a part in this baseball. They want them all to succeed because they're going to come American and be pitchers. They don't want to discredit anybody. You go to Europe and soccer, you better not be like we're in Manchester United in the Liverpool bar, kind of like a Cowboys bar and a Green Bay Packers bar. It's like, but they're very serious, but they will. I've been told by Europeans that, well, no wonder why your American football's rigged, because soccer, we know it's rigged and we just don't give a fuck. We're still diehard fans. So the difference is, see, America's catching on to this shit.
Yeah.
And they advertise gambling and soccer, all these bet shit overseas.
Yeah.
And that's where America's now. Gamble this, gamble that. And everybody overseas in Europe, they gamble for fun. They don't do it to make a living. Like, some of these assholes think they're going to make money gambling on sports. You are so far out of the realm of comprehension. You might have a good week, but have a fucking great hitting 70% to pay your fucking bills. Ain't going to happen. It did 2+ years ago. I could fucking easily make a living just, but now, I told you, man, this whole shit got on a spiral, and we're seeing it. And people are now seeing it.
Yeah. Once they put the option to make money in the hands of the people, they were like, dude, that's way too much risk. We're going to lose our asses. And they had to control it more, So now we're seeing the field goals curve like we never have before. One thing I wanted to talk about that you touched on there was the reactions of people to the sporting events. Like, I've been listening to the conversations around the gym, around the workplace, just around wherever I'm at. What are people saying about the football games? Is anybody talking about it being rigged? Are they complaining about the refs? Are they favoring one team or the other? What excuses are they using for which team won?
It's a ref's fault.
I know,
It
it's
ain't the
like,
ref's fault. The refs are the puppets.
Have to just
It's the NFL's fault, and the powers that be above them.
sit back and not say anything, not try to put any energy into the atmosphere that isn't needed, and just remain a passive observer. But it does, every ounce of me, or some ounce of me does want to get up and just be like, you guys, it's fucking scripted, like, grow up already. Like, how can you not see it, But, I wanted to make that point. It's going to be very interesting to see and listen to and hear the people wake up, the conversation around me just sort of wake up, and then we'll start to hear, well, it's rigged, and then we'll hear what people are actually seeing. And the NFL is, they're in damage control on this. Why did we all of a sudden see a bunch of field goals start to be missed, in the last couple years? Was it because they were making too many of them, that type of thing? They were making too many of these super long field goals where, you've mentioned before, these guys are kicking like 60-yard field goals, just boop, ba-doop, ba-doop, like it was no goddamn thing. But back in the day, it was like, dude,
50 yards
anything
was
beyond 52 yards
52.
was like, you just
like,
can't
you're telling me
do
these
it.
guys' legs just got built
Just
out
all
of
of a sudden
titanium
got
and they're all of a sudden
bigger.
like big?
Just they got fucking 15 yards more ranged and they can just do it. Boink, 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 boink. Like, what? Like, the human physique has lessened, if anything, not gotten better. It's like we're just being presented with a bullshit show here, you guys. And I think that as soon as we can get more
Guy's
people
ripping his shirt like it's WWE.
I
He's
know,
ripping
right?
his
Yeah, the fake fight, like the fake hockey fight, even.
Yeah.
Like,
And hockey players know that shit's rigged. Canada knows hockey's rigged. Americans they think that
perception is very askew.
Perception and perspective. A lot of people can't they can't put one on the side and the other because it's like their perceptions. If I win the lottery, my life's changed. Perspective, it's the opposite. It's not gonna happen, but I'm gonna have that false hope. You fucking bet on the sport, false hope. Entertainment, and that's what it is.
Yep.
And it's a license to print money for the NFL. Do you notice that the NFL is an alphabet organization?
Well, the big one they're pushing is the fantasy sports. Because the people are so unsuspecting.
They don't want to watch a team. They want to watch an individual player.
They
make
do things
bet on.
like they're making these stipulation guarantees, like if your player gets taken out in the second quarter, or like, for half of the game, like you get some sort of
it's gotta play like a certain
protection
amount
on
of
it.
time. It's
Yeah,
called insurance.
but then
on
what
your
we
bet.
see is like they'll bring a fucking quarterback in that was going to set some insane record back in for like 2 or 3 plays, right? Because the game is almost getting out of control again. We got to bring our star quarterback back in, and then he throws a incomplete pass, and it's like, so everybody's mid-game fantasy bets that they recognized it and they started betting on this live betting. They shifted it. They got it in real time and they put the fucking guy back in. So it's like what we've been saying about all of this stuff being data that a supercomputer is processing. It makes a lot more sense to match up what we see, because there's no way the humans are doing that live. Like they're giving each other signals down from the field to send up to them, to send to here, to, hey, tell the thing to shift. We gotta, shift the plays a little bit. It's like, no, it's all fucking scripted from a computer, and the players probably have goddamn computer chips in their brains that take them over when it needs to. Like, it's not fully like taking them over. They probably still do a lot of things of their own free will. But when the supercomputer needs them in a spot, or it needs them to drop a pass, or it needs them to catch it, it needs something done, it gets it done. And that's what we're seeing with the patterns here of behavior. And very interesting to see the people's responses, like you were saying. I think we will see a lot of people. I knew it the whole time. I knew there was something off about those refs. And
They're
it's
like,
dude,
don't
we've been telling you. I think we've been yelling at the
Or they'll say something like this. They'll say something. You know, my grandpa, who was since passed, he was telling me that 5 years ago, and people were laughing at him and saying that shit. They were actually saying to the point where, like me, I wasn't invited to these little fucking shindigs to watch football because I didn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
But I added, I said, I always left it with this.
Yeah.
When I said, y'all just be careful what you're watching.
Boy, that's a topic in itself. Being alienated and shunned from society and social events for having really a different perspective on things. Really just a different perspective and a bigger knowledge base.
So that's an example of people who come out and be like, well, that's what I've been hearing, but now I see it. Well, bitch, you saw it the whole time. You just were focused on the wrong thing. If you shifted your thought process a little bit and got your emotional fanboy hat off out of the picture and take the emotions out of it, don't you understand? You got a draft. You got these gambling organizations that have merged with the NFL. You got ESPN, Bet Plus. You have an think about this organization.
It's
NASA,
advertised on
example.
Fox News too. I want to add that here. It's advertised on Fox News too. Like they're the ones really pushing the fantasy thing.
They're all talking about player props.
They give them like their own personal stories too. It's really like they're really selling it hard, and that's on like a political news channel.
Yeah.
It's like they don't even
because
talk
you know
about
who
sports.
owns a lot of these NFL teams? Politicians.
And they know that rich guys, like guys with money,
do you know
are
governors
listening to
involved
the
in
political news in the area.
Like I said, the NFL is
I got a
its
story
own.
on that too.
NFL is its own alphabet. It's not even an agency. It's an own alphabet organization. Meaning it's got its organized how it
touchdown
operates.
49ers. McCaffrey ran for a touchdown.
So you could have bet on McCaffrey to anytime touchdown.
14-7.
You bet 100, you would have won 200. So maybe that was a good bet. If
Second half,
player props, first half bet.
Minutes left.
Is he going to make a? Is there going to be a? There's so many props, man.
Will McCaffrey score a run? Will run for a touchdown.
And not only that, you can bet against him scoring a touchdown. You know, like in roulette, or I'm sorry, in craps,
But
you can bet you can
quarter.
do the no pass line. You want a 7 or 11 to roll, and the fucking table gets crushed.
We'd probably be amazed at the amount of like little bets and stuff that are processed and changed
Every fucking minute, every second, it's changing.
Because it has to like take in the money and then it redistributes it. It's really interesting, y'all. Like, and when you zoom out and can put these things together, you can start to see the other industries all kind of working, along with the NFL's narrative and how money is being extracted from the public and reinserted in certain places.
And you have so many ex-former. So here's the thing. Think about this. This will put things in perspective when it comes to, well, that's not possible. All right, let's take NASA, for example. You say, there's 20,000 employees. We don't know.
That's the last
10,000.
I would stand by that.
Let's just say 10,000.
Let's just say 10,
let's say
20,000, 30,000
We'll say 10,000 at a minimum, just to throw a number. And that's just
not
NASA.
including Antarctica.
Not including Antarctica. We got to leave Antarctica off to the side.
Right, it's a variable, y'all. It could be 100,000.
You know what? Antarctica is one of the only continent where nobody wants to have a treaty signed to it. Meaning, like, they don't want to fuck with it. They don't want anybody creating a war there. They just don't want. They got wildlife. They don't want people hunting wildlife. They got this jurisdiction.
It's guarded by all
it's gotta
countries and nations.
And a lot of people will be like, "Well, there's a hidden tunnel and it goes down to the center." I'm like, "What?"
There is so
many. So that's the
you
thing. I don't know the truth and I don't know the facts. So I'm always agreeing to never disagree because I'm like, that's an interesting fact. But if I'm like, well, that sounds so outlandish, but maybe I don't know. But think about those organizations like NASA. They got 10,000 employees and maybe they got families too. So let's say NASA has some sort of I don't know. Say you have to get a TS-SCI, which for those who don't know, that's a top secret SCI, which is specialized compartmentalized information. So that would be, you would be the only one accessing information from NASA. You got shit, shit that's going on. You're like, fuck, we got a meteor 2 miles off of the pattern. Like, what do we do? Do we contingency plan that? Do we do
Armageddon.
that? So maybe imagine that do you think they're out there just telling people, hey, this is what NASA's got going on. This is the real information. No, because what would happen is if the information leaked out, people are going to get punished. People could possibly face disciplinary action. They will lose their credibility, and they're outside of the bubble. So why would you want to give up that information to what? Expose? NFL has 1,989 players on roster in one season.
Yeah.
There's 36 teams, 18, right?
Okay.
You got
now,
left and right, red and
we did
blue.
talk about this like 2 weeks ago.
We didn't put on the cast
okay.
though. We were talking.
No,
off
we
cast.
didn't. Yeah, right.
And I said, so you have 2,000. Let's say you have 5,000 people in the NFL. Whether they're the coaches, not even the trainers. Trainers would be one of those that, unless they're in on it, they got to sign a contract. Like, you can't go fucking tell the guy sweeping the bleachers, hey, this is what they just got on the meeting. Like, you're confined to information, secrecy, and privileged information. So the NFL, why can't they just do the same thing? They can just control it, because if the word gets out, you go to the source. If I worked at NASA and all of a sudden on Monday I exposed to somebody and you work for an agency that does news, and I'm like, hey man, give me $1 million. And like, dude, we can get like $5 million for this information. That person, NASA, you see the trail that would be? Why would the NFL get a pass and that's not what's going on? The WWE, we know scripted. We know that's it. But the NFL, why do people have this false facade that can't be possible? Why are these players make so much money? Because they're held to agreement to not probably speak about anything that goes on behind closed doors. And you might have people that are involved in the NFL, but they could be tickets, they could be, and then you got families. Do you think these players are going home, hey honey, you know, that was a rigged play. Now, if the wife knows that the shit's fixed, she's not going to go spread it, because now they got a protection, because there's no proof. Prove it. You can't.
You know,
the only proof would have to be a burden of proof
right.
if somebody said something and they found out, like a whistleblower in the NFL, that might be 10 years down the road, where like they had NBA whistleblower, the referee came out and said he's fixing games. He didn't get killed, but he could have just been put in a place like, we've been fixing this whole thing, but we need to put an example out there to show that this shit's there, and it just swept under the rug. That's why nobody gives a fuck about NBA. That shit's a whole nother shit show. But this is the NFL I'm talking. It's a magnified product. 60 million viewers saw the flag shouldn't have been thrown. Well, where's the proof, the burden of proof? You're going by what they are controlling. This is how this works, folks. And this isn't some conspiracy. This isn't some classified shit. This is stuff that if you piece it together, this is why I'm saying if you use perception versus perspective, you can piece it together. And what I say is not, the NFL's not going to knock on my door and be like, hey, you're giving away our information. Bullshit, because you're exposing the blatant information. So that's where I'm trying to put people into a perspective to think differently. And be careful what you're watching and what you're believing.
Oh, yeah.
And if you have your own belief, then fine, go with it. But if you have a perception of non-belief, then you're going to be criticized because you're not with the rest.
All right, perfect. So let me take from there a moment, and let's just see what y'all think about this. So where my head ended up was addressing this, explaining this population of the NFL. Right, the NFL's population, however many people it takes to get this done. Let's just say it's another 10,000. that's all involved with the NFL. You know, fans being in on it in every city, having fans in on it in every city, ESPN, all those outlets, right? Like this whole sporting apparatus. How would we explain how all of these people are in on it and none of them are talking? Well, consider this possibility that there are things here, like vampires and cannibals, for example, that would want to keep their population a secret. And there's probably quite a lot of them living either underground, I don't know, Antarctica, maybe other types of places, things that we just do not know about, history that we do not know about. And it's possible that even these that the blood, the story of the blood giving everlasting life is quite literal, and that the vampirism thing is true. There's a lot of lyrics in music that really kind of do seem to be disclosing that exact thing. And the example I wanted to give was there were some disc golf videos. I'm not going to hone in on anybody here because I don't want to make this identifiable. But the words used were, it was just a joke, right? It was a joke, but it was one of those jokes where it was like the context only made sense to a certain demographic. And the demographic would have been a cannibalistic demographic that understands that type of reference, right? And I'm not even going to say what it was because I don't remember exactly what it was, but I was like, it hit me at the time. I was like, hold up. Like that phrase there just didn't fit quite right. And the reactions to it were matched a pattern type of thing. I won't get into the details again, but imagine that there's just something like that. Like there's, a society like that wants to control and farm a population of humanity. What would they do? What kind of system would we see? We would see some government system scattered around these countries like we see now. We've seen a bunch of different religions and stuff. Like we can piece this all together and fit the patterns all together to fit the puzzle. Kevin and I can do that, but we can't do it all right here, right now. But we're going to draw a reference to that idea to explain something like this in a way that a lot of people might not be thinking about it. And really all you can do in these situations where people haven't thought about it is kind of, you pepper them a little bit is the phrase. You just a little bit at a time and see how much spice they can handle. And then if, it goes well enough, you can maybe pepper again. Maybe you have to throw some salt in there. But it really is, waking people up. That's why they call it spirit cooking, like milking emotions, and it's all the way down to like actually cooking and eating people in a ritualistic fashion, which is, we've made the argument before and just drawn light to this communion thing in the religious sector where it's mocking a blood ritual sacrifice of eating and drinking blood in the body of a human, or it being turned into it. No, it's not actually the blood and body of a person. It's but metaphors and where it's said like, this is my blood and body, take from me and drink from it, or whatever, however it actually goes, the metaphor is the parallel there is pretty easy to draw, especially when you consider things like we're dealing with a karmic war. It's a karmic war that's, Kevin really hit in on a key note here, based on perception. The magic, the dark magic specifically, only seems to be able to take root through perception. In other words, through karmic result of people's choices and actions and thoughts and prayers, right? So that is why they funnel these things like energy. They direct them in certain places, in certain sectors, right? We can go on and on and on, but that, just to augment on there for a little bit, not to get going too far on that, just warm up that idea. Start meshing that kind of stuff in your head, because
everybody has these skills and techniques, but it's to apply them. I've had to apply them in real life situations. Like no shit, real life. I mean, to learn foreign languages.
One more thing, and then I'll let you go. To learn an example of learning new things. I came across encountering new information. I came across this thing called the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. I don't think I talked about this on the last episode, but I think I talked to you about it, Kev, the last time we spoke. And it, in a nutshell, it's like, it's talking about, where Jesus studied in like this underground area that called the halls of Amenti, and then how the book goes on, and it's how man's journey is, their existence here in story is like, it's the story of man's journey to ascend to heaven, through like awakening yourself process and stuff like that. Then it mentions that this heaven it's this journey to the sphere of Arulu. And it's like, why? What would they call a heaven a sphere of a rulu for? Like, what? Now, if you'd had listened to our cast, if you're familiar with us, like Professor Trevor is, information like that, it's going to trigger in your brain, like, oh, I know that there's a cellular concave cosmogony model of the Earth that fits that description, where heaven is a sphere inside of the Earth, and your ascension from the ground to heaven would kind of make sense, right? And so I came across that information, and I just wanted to note on that. It also said, it was talking about the also the more information that was interesting here in the last bit. It was talking about how this dark magic, like I was just saying, it's given leeway, it's brought into fruition through things like like I was just saying, through perception, tricking people's perception into making them do karmic things to allow the demonic forces or world, if you want to use that word, to do these things, to actually do a blood ritual sacrifice. That's why they would have this religion, Catholicism or Christianity, whichever versions of it do that, still do communion. It's basically a karmic trick where they're giving permission for cannibals and vampires and whatever else, maybe there's like dragon people, snake people, squid people, like there's all sorts of stuff probably, like we don't know, but like the possibilities, and even in the text that I was reading, it was referring to the existence of dragons and giants and fairies and elves, and like just an example of needing to have like a process and a large database of information to come across to actually learn new information, like new languages. For example, I'm talking to the German streamer.
Guten Tag, wie geht's Ihnen?
I have to use Google Translate to copy paste some of the German in the chat, and so I'm like, then I'm doing the opposite, and I'm like, geez, she says that the German language is actually very hard to learn.
It's very hard.
And like the Spanish is a lot easier, and that German is almost sounds like English, where a lot of different words have different meanings and she says, a lot of different scenarios. There's just endless different contextual scenarios where like which word are you supposed to use, and I could see that actually being very difficult to learn.
And now put in perspective versus perception when it comes to learning languages.
Oh, I love just like when she plays For Honor, dude, and she's angry, just it just makes me want to make up sounds like that. It's so funny. Dude, it's so much better than like an American being pissed off and being like, God fucking damn son of a bitch. It's just like something like that.
They have a very direct way of
makes me smile and
English,
laugh.
or way of directing in their German.
Probably bad impressions.
Let me tell you how everything I taught was bullshit, especially like in school. There was like you would learn Spanish or you didn't. Like you had to learn Spanish. There was no other really languages to learn because Spanish was the second language in America, going through school. This is before Google Translate. So I was taught in a way to learn all this like sentence structure and all these words. And I'm like, my brain can't differentiate, 10 words together.
Yeah.
To break it down and then to fluently try to speak. And then I'm like,
how do I put them together type of thing. Yeah.
But what I was taught was, when I had to learn languages and they sent me to school for it, was what I was told was throw everything you know out about language, and here's how you learn. And anybody can apply this. This is so simple. You don't have to go to a language school to learn this. All I was taught was, okay, what language are we going to learn? And let's say it's German. All right. At that time, there was analytics and database before the internet that had keywords that the Germans would speak. So there's 50 keywords at that time that were worldwide, like 50 keywords in the German language. Not that you would learn the like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, Z and 9. Eins.
That
So
makes sense.
that's just like anybody can learn 1 through 10.
Yep.
And then everything else is just added another word. So
That makes
I didn't learn
sense.
any of numbers. That was self-taught. I learned numbers.
Yep.
But I learned 50 key phrases in key words to start out with, and that could have been anywhere from what's the trending word in German at that time. I don't know. Like I had 50 keywords. Could be
Yeah.
couch, chair,
Time.
time,
clock.
like in conversations. And what they would
Left,
do is
right.
analyze all this database from people that would speak German, and they came down to here's your 50 keywords in this language. This is before what we call technology now, where you can put it in a computer and it just AIs it, and
Yeah.
but the 50 keywords would be changed today. So I would have to relearn some keywords. But then when you learn the keywords, now you start putting it in the sentences. And the thing is, you don't want to be perfect at a language when you're living abroad or
No.
visiting. You could be like, I'm a tourist. I learned in college.
Right.
I know the language. Why? Here's an example. Why would a guy like me, living in Germany, speak perfect Western German?
Yeah.
They're like, this isn't. You're not married to a German woman.
That
You're
wouldn't make any
it wouldn't work.
sense.
Oktoberfest. There's 6 million people and there's all cultures. Nobody gives a fuck what you speak. But to learn it and apply it in the worldwide of sociology, so that's where you learn it. And so like I would learn 50 keywords. Okay, and then Japan, 50 keywords, and then I'd learn the numbers.
That's a great way.
And
to
I would
do
go. I wouldn't learn anything about because the way
it. I wonder if that's how like Babbel does it. Those little
50
apps that do
keywords,
it.
and then in the phrases, and I learned like the top 20 phrases that I could speak in public, whether ordering water, ordering a food. Can you tell me where the train station is? Because these are things that are just the everyday type of tools. So Chinese, Mandarin, that's the toughest language on the planet besides Islamic stuff. That's that's a whole nother level of learning. But it's no different. It's just keywords.
Oh, 3 guys can't tackle him. I mean, jeez.
And then when
So funny.
when I lived in like Japan for 6 or 7 years, I believe
Jake's
it was.
definitely covering that play though, where the Lions scored their 3rd touchdown. There's 4 49ers that basically just let the guy run for like 25 plus yards. Amazing. He's definitely gonna do that one.
South Korea, same thing.
you
Like all
probably
the
shouldn't
languages.
speak
And then
in
when I go to
whatever.
Cambodia, Vietnam, Singapore was very Americanized. Worldwide, everybody speaks English worldwide. That's why I won't hear anybody in Philippines speak perfect English. They have their own dialect. They have their own way of saying it. Just like when I speak Maganda, like that sounds almost improper in Philippines.
Yeah.
But it makes sense because I'm a foreigner. Why would I know any more language than that? But if I know 50 key words, now I can have a conversation, and then I can get information back and
How
like
can
find
that-
out, who the people, their background and where they learned English, and you pick up a lot of
Yeah.
just by knowing the language. So I would learn that, live in Japan, and had a Japanese girlfriend, and she taught me now I became fluent in Japanese, but it was a different dialect, but it still got its job done when I went to Tokyo, or when I went to Osaka, or when I went to Hokkaido to go up there and snow ski in the mountains. And so the language, it's just how you take it, and you would have to have a reason to learn it. But to say I'm going to go visit Germany for 2 weeks, you don't need to learn it. You fucking got translators now.
I feel like knowing another language and even more languages would make learning little random facts, little other things easier, because you're relating it now to more words. So you're creating more databases in your brain, basically, more trigger points.
Yeah.
So it's like you would remember it easier.
And when
because you've got just naturally 4 more ways to say something.
Because even if somebody goes and visits another country for, let's say, a week, they will remember 5 words from that country, whether it's thank you, hello. You're probably trying to learn the customs and courtesies of the local nation, the local country. You're trying to be a nice American. So, like I said, I was just able to go to 73 different, countries worldwide, and like, I probably know, I don't know how many languages at this point, but if I really sat down and just started going, I probably knows more. I probably know more than the Pope.
Europe's probably like,
and the Pope knows like a lot of languages,
10
but the Pope don't probably know
5 to
perfect
10.
language. He just knows the little things. The president goes over visits overseas. He knows the customs
know
and
the
courtesies.
keywords,
He
right?
knows the
Yeah, their
keywords.
lives are so scripted that.
So anyway, that's my talk about the language. Is it easy to learn? Is anything easy to learn? It's all about what your perception is. Is it? I thought fucking learning to
We were right about something. There would be 28 points in the first fucking half. They just weren't all the 49ers.
Yeah.
Oh man. I don't
So,
know
yeah.
why that number popped into existence today, but it popped in. I was like, well, 28's going to pop up somewhere, and I don't know what it's going to be for, but we'll see if that's the end of the halftime score, or end of halftime, whatever.
Yep.
I guess end of halftime, yes, it would be the same score. It's just very interesting. That's very interesting.
It is.
You could apply that, like, learning technique to, learning a different video game character in a fighting game that's based around a certain kind of moveset, where each character has their own kind of unique language within a structured set.
It's all it is,
of,
man. It's all
code.
it is. And you know what's interesting? The more languages that I learn, like in Japan, South Korea, Philippines,
Which is
Singapore, they're
code is another language, man. It's like people figured out video games is like
it's
excuse me.
but when I let's say I went to a bar and I wasn't dating and I just said if I said Guten Tag, the German goes Sprechen Sie Deutsch, and I'd be like Ja, and like you're a fucking playboy. No, you're like you've dated so many German girls, like you should know the language. So it was against sometimes, but it's interesting when I try to say I don't know any German, but all of a sudden I'm having a conversation in German, and it's like, well, I just magically learned German. No, that's not how it works. But Japan was no different. The more Japanese knew, the more playboy you were. The more Tagalog you knew, the more playboy. And in Taiwan, they were just weird people. But I respected their culture. So a lot of Taiwan. It was an interesting time visiting that place.
Oh man.
A lot of what do they call it? The manufacturer for electronics. Not carbon buster. It's what's the little in every device? There's like a little magnet, something semiconductor.
Oh shit.
Like Taiwan is like 90%. They make semiconductors for like all the shit that we use in our TVs.
Yeah.
It's just semiconductors. And it's in Taiwan.
Right. Interesting.
So I got to see like the big factory. And another thing about I love talking world travels. When I was in China. You know the factories where people make the iPads, anything fucking Apple.
Yeah. I was gonna
So
ask you
check
about
this
this.
out.
I was actually
They have this big fucking buildings, and I don't know how many employees. I wasn't allowed to go in the building. I was just like from the outside. But they had these nets surround this entire organization. Like, it looked like an Amazon plant.
Oh, those are
and they had
real?
nets all around it. And then what is in China, you have no like freedom to just effortlessly be like, I want to move out of the country and I want to go start a business in America.
Well, it sounds like some people.
And some people in that culture, they get locked into I call it the Sony family. They're just manufacturing and they're making shit paid, and they get so hypnotized into that's the rest of their life that they try to jump off the top of the building on their brakes and try to they land on the nets. Like, they're trying to kill themselves. They had a big problem with that. People in China were just off themselves. So I got to see where all these. I was like, "What's all these nets?" And that was just show me from a perspective of, holy shit, our American work culture, 9 to 5, is the only. I'm surprised people aren't jumping off of buildings in America and stuff like that. Just because it's if you look at it from a different perspective, these people are making no money and they're working fucking like slaves. So those are like two parallels where I saw the semiconductors, and then in China where the factories, and then it's like, holy shit, these people are suicidal.
See, that's interesting because I wanted to ask you about that.
But then I've been in the Philippines where I saw construction workers building hotels. They have nothing on. The guy was in sandals, like walking in sandals and like carrying shit. And I'm like, dude, that guy's fucking 15 stories up.
Yeah.
And the guy goes, oh, it's okay. We just replace employees all the time. It's like, what the fuck? And I was like, what's going on here? And that's normal. That's their construction. Unless they're like a casino they're building, they don't have the infrastructures like we have in America. It's like, what the fuck?
Wow.
For real. That's like, if you look it up on the internet, you can look at Google suicide jumps off of the
those
off of the
stories are true.
Sony building. And there's nets down there to catch the...
Good to know.
And it's a big perimeter thing. Like, people don't get in and out. I don't know if they sleep there or what, but it's a strange country.
That's really interesting. When I lived in Seattle area, there are a lot of people that were migrating from China. A lot of them with tons of money, too. So it must be, the people working at the suicide factory, the Sony family, as you say. I don't know how they got there, but it's not all Chinese.
But then you can bring forced labor into it. You can take somebody from a third world country and pay them $100 a month, and that's like a whole year's salary in their country.
Yeah.
Like in Vietnam, a guy asked one guy, I said, "You're out here like selling all this stuff. Like, how much do you need to make a day?" And he's like, "I need to make $8 a day."
I should have asked.
And I'm like, $8 a day, and he's like, "Yeah, it pays for." And then they just live in a different.
Yeah.
My
landlord was where I was staying. She talked about coming and like visiting China, like she'd go there every Christmas or something. So I wanna, and then there's China University, in Bellevue, Washington, right next to Microsoft in Redmond.
Sure.
It's like so there's something going on where it's like some of them get to leave and come and go as seemingly as they please.
But they got to get permission from the Chinese government to even think about leaving.
That's why it's interesting.
And they come to America. It's like they ain't coming back. They can have dual citizenship. But China's a very strict, limited how many kids you can have. You can have one child.
More questions.
You can't there's so much in China that and you know what another thing is? When you're in China and you're connected to the internet service in China, you have no fucking privacy. Like, that shit is just over. You can't access sites. You can't access a lot of things that you... Like, let's say I wanted to find the final score of the football game. I go to, ESPN.com in China, the little flag, it says, this site is not under the Chinese jurisdiction law. But I can go to Macau in the casino and access ESPN.com. Because Macau, they're like the powerhouse. So you got everything outside of China, Macau. Macau's Americanized, obviously, so... in a way. So that's just, it gives you a different, in one country, you got suicide jumpers, and then you got, you can't access anything.
Yeah.
North Korea is 100 times worse. That's a fucking another level of North Korea is another pony. Oh. Them motherfucking kids don't know what a globe, they don't know what a globe they don't know anything. They don't know what a globe looks like. Show them a globe, they don't, what the fuck's a globe? They don't know anything. And they can't leave. So anyway, that's just different world, just different things.
Yeah.
And you can go to China, visit for a week, and have fun. But fucking live there for 6 months. See how fucking great it is. It's take for granted living in America. And it's still not good enough. That's the problem with it's never good enough for people. Meaning, I don't know, man. We live in a strange culture of it's a culture of I don't know.
Oh, the culture of Taylor Swift.
We live in a protected, privileged, and unhumane culture. That's what America is founded on. We live in that. You go to other countries, you got to live by their laws and customs and courtesies. And if you fuck up, you can die. I mean,
right?
There's so much stuff that.
Yeah, we do.
I had to really be on eggshells a lot of times because if you do something wrong. It's a big deal when you're in another country. If you're a tourist, it's one thing. But if you are you live in you can't be fucking around. Like the marijuana laws overseas they don't fuck around, man. Like mandatory minimum is fucking serious. Singapore, 3 checkpoints you go through and you got to get rid of anything. And if you have anything on you, they'll publicly hang you within 5 days because there's no agreement in the United States. You can't just call a lawyer and be like, hey, I'm stuck in Singapore because I fucking brought whatever into the country knowingly.
Effed.
And their intent to distribute would be such a misdemeanor in the United States that you can get death penalty.
Wow.
So,
wow.
when I lived in Singapore, they were always saying, no, like, it was fucking for real, man. That was like one of the most eye-opening things because there are people that always try to fight the system and try to bring shit in the country. And why do you think they have like locked up abroad? Because that's real shit that happened. People were fucking making bad decisions, not knowing the repercussions. Because I come from America, motherfucker. You are in a whole other world. Like I've listened to some people that do streams and podcasts, like world travels, and they're like taking mushrooms in whatever country, and I'm like, you guys are fucking. I don't know what your plan is.
Yeah, I did not feel comfortable around any drugs, and while I was in a different country. So I was like, I don't know what the laws are here, but it's like, I don't think like even my employer could get me out of any situation where it was like, well, I went to a party with some of the employees, you know, after work, and like it got busted and they had this, and now I'm here.
Guilty by association.
Guilty by association, right? And it's like,
you're with the person, you're just as guilty.
I'm stuck over in England and that happens. I was like, dude, I ain't even trying to find out.
I mean, it's
So no, I did not go to that party. Going to the club, there was probably everything that would have been at that party at the club, but that's just pointing out another massive flaw in society.
Another thing that overseas that I saw from a perspective of, let's say I'm a tourist, and I put it from a criminal aspect of, let's say you're a CEO of a big company, or you're a political figure, or you have influence on a lot, like you're a high priority name, right?
Yeah.
And sexpionage was kind of being heard of around 2003, and then by 2007 it was really a big deal, and it wasn't so much with the computers, it was more, you go into a hotel in China, right?
Yeah.
You're you're a CEO of a corporation. Well, let's say the Chinese, whatever, let's say it's their mafia or whatever their organized crime is, and they know that this person's high influence. What do? They fucking bug their rooms, cameras, catch you on camera. The girl says she was 18, she's 15.
Yeah.
That was the sexpionage when we get briefed all the time. Like if you're at a bar and some chick comes up to you,
Sextortion.
You're gonna. She's not there because you look good and she likes you or anything.
Yeah.
But the normal tourist, horny motherfucking tourist, hey, I'll go back with you, and they'll tell them what they do.
Oh man.
So that's from and I had to learn, like, you know what, that happens all the time now. Now it's becoming a scam. So now you have here's how you run a scam for sexpionage, and you can use it to leverage for information. Like I think Epstein Island was some sort of conspiracy. He had like all these elite people coming to his island. I think he was trying to get like intelligence and shit from all these people to figure out how can I be the next best leader. There's a lot of conspiracies to it. I don't know any about it, but what I've heard is what I've heard from other people that are out there like breaking this shit conspiracy down with them. But now it's attack on Americans, people from the UK, people from Germany. That's a big target too. And they get on the computer and, how are you? I'm fine. And then they're like, they'll have a script and they'll read off like, my name's Monica and I'm wherever, and they'll turn on a cam, and you get a lonely guy that's whatever, and you get somebody, and you don't have any cognitive thinking about it, and all of a sudden it becomes this rat race of, okay, you send nude photos, they got your webcam, they're taking a video, and on their end they're showing like a porno, but it's not them, it's actually some dudes that are like And then when it's all said and done, they're like, okay, and they've already done the research through your Facebook, through your whatever social media you're on, your followers, your especially if you're in a corporation. So now what do? They say, send me $5,000 or I'm gonna report this to all of your family, friends, co-workers. I'm gonna ruin your reputation. So they know that this person maybe works for a corporation. They got money, they have access to funds. They can buy their way out of this situation, and then they just keep asking for money, and then finally. But they're getting normal citizens that are the kids. There's a big problem with the kids. They're getting involved in this tech, and they're sending, like, if they're 15, 16 years old and they think the other girl's 16, they're exchanging photos. It's some scammers saying, like, hey, I got your fucking information. I got so much information against you that you're gonna pay this money, or you're gonna ruin your fucking life.
I'll send it to everybody
it used to start. I've seen the worldwide scam of that alone, and I'm telling you, the vulnerability in America for people to take victim and catfish and bait on that is very going on.
Yeah.
And it's bad if you have, like, and this is to tell your parents out there, the parents that are listening, you got kids.
Don't let your kids listen to Taylor Swift.
If they're on any, like, because a lot of those things you can check box 18 and you're like, okay, well, this person's 18.
Oh yeah, check box. Okay. Good
but
to go.
The point is, the kids will be vulnerable. They'll be sabotaged. They'll feel guilty. They'll feel miserable. There was a suicide that happened recently in one of the states. This kid fucking killed himself because he was just so worried about his future, because really he was fucked because he was trying to get his future going. But that's what is going on, and that's one example that I've seen from the worldwide spectrum. And it used to be in the red light districts of, like, wherever, and a lot of that was a fucking, and then they'll use that, especially if they know you're with some sort of, like, whatever.
Yeah.
You're in town for a convention. Holy shit, we got 50 of these people here. If we can just get 2 of them, now we got the whole fucking. Now everybody's got a pitch. It's a big fucking. It's a big deal. Yeah. That's the big deal. And I'll tell you who knows this firsthand. Pilots that fly overseas that are on commercial airlines. They arrive in Tokyo and land in Narita Airport, and they're staying there for 2 days. They know firsthand what this extortion. They get briefed on it, because you can take down an entire organization off of one fucking incident. Right. Now they don't want 5,000; they want 5 million. Right. Well, you want 5 million, and the other one you would know from this would be the cybercrime. We're gonna freeze your computer, take all it, and then send us to unlock it. That was, and you know that one. And now people realize you don't click on that shit. But before, it took a lot of, and that's the perspective. It's all about, and I'm gonna tell you, when I was 22 years old, and before I was even really world traveling, my first interaction overseas was in South Korea. And I was young, and I went in, bar. It was just like that. And I'm like, that could happen to anybody. So just know, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. And that's where.
It seems like your dreams are coming true. You're probably getting robbed.
Yeah. So that's just a click. Oh man, it's scary. It is fucking scary.
Yeah. Yeah. The world is not what you see, what you get. What you see is what you get. Sorry. It's a bit of the chaotic discord out there. These Taylor Swift songs got some hypnotism going on. There was a movie that I watched that talked about, it's called The Piper. And there's this song that's like, if it's played or heard, it's like this, it would like haunt the person basically. And it would also haunt the person to write the song if they were musically inclined, right? So the story kind of goes, the movie plays on that. But part of that movie was actually really interesting because it talked about some scientific things, and what they called it was you can create these like harmonic resonances that when you do certain tones together and, just certain things together or in certain patterns can be very hypnotic to people, and it can just like the music can take, and it can trigger emotions, this and that. It made me think of the Taylor Swift songs. It made me think of the Swiftie effect. Like, how is she just like infiltrating the brains of these people where it's like, yeah, I'm a Swiftie, to say that I'm a Swiftie. And I think there's a lot of people where it's like they don't want to admit that they like her music, or even because it has a certain stigma to it, you know, like, oh, you're a Swiftie, nobody wants to be called that. But a lot of them probably like the music because it's chemically engineered. Like, one thing I'd like people to understand is it's these men that are getting simped, or, you know, simped by these ladies online, pictures online, or just pornography in general. It's because when a guy sees something he's as attractive, it releases chemicals in your brain. So when you see these girls talking online, just, you know, you can just go on Twitch sometime and like take a look at how many girls are like just chatting. I'm sitting here with my boobs half hanging out and, you know, just small little yoga shorts on. But I'm just chatting, you know, we're just here about life. And like, you go look at the chat and just watch what the people are saying. And it's like, you know that the guys just can't look away because they're being chemically manipulated, and they don't understand that like, dude, if you weren't getting this dopamine drip like every time you looked at the fucking screen, like you're seeing something, like they literally will fall in love with like somebody just because that person, like, oh, thank you, user 119, like, hearts and kisses, thank you for supporting me, you know, like, they get, and, you know, like, oh, here, you know, especially if it's like an OnlyFans account. It's just, I'm making the point here that it's like, it's a chemical manipulation that people are unaware of happening.
It's same feeling in the strip club.
Yeah, it's just like this karmic war being taken place where the dark magic only gets here through a karmic actions of unsuspecting people, of deceiving others, basically.
Like interrogators.
Yes, exactly.
Deception. Let's fucking go.
Oh, man. So, yeah, just a little bit about that. So, we're coming up on the end of the second quarter here. And it's like
7.
the Lions are right at the kind of goal line, maybe going to score another
28
one.
points.
Could it be 28-7?
No, they're going to kick a field goal here.
Probably.
24. Dan Campbell, look at him.
But wow, I mean, the Niners are really going to have to climb out of this one if we're going to see them in the Super Bowl.
It's one of those, hey, we're going to give everybody a show in the first half and rake it back in the second.
It's one of those where, you know, the Niners might not win. And the Lions do go to the Super Bowl, where it's just but like, just look at nobody expected that.
If the Lions can put 21 up in the first half, the 49ers can put 35 up in the second half. Yeah. I've seen it, like, it's just 14 points. I don't care if a team's down by 28, because I've seen that at a halftime in the Super Bowl. The Atlanta Falcons playing the New England Patriots. Okay, and the Falcons were up 28-3 at halftime. Yeah. And the fucking the Tampa Bay Bucks.
All right, live betting. What? Live betting. Does he make it? Does he miss it? Place your bets, everybody. I bet that he misses.
And they got to put him in the George Kittle. That guy is a fucking George Kittle and Travis Kelce
like at the goal line. How's he gonna miss this? You'd have to be the dumbest kicker ever to miss that. Fucking 5-year-old could have made that.
24 points. Jeez. That's unbelievable.
All right.
I said 24 San Fran, but I didn't know 24 Detroit. At least you got the
24-7. All right.
Ha.
Well, we'll see what happens.
Yeah. So glad the NFL season's almost over.
I don't see how, you know, it really wouldn't be as profitable to put the Lions in there. It just
I don't think so. You gotta have the Niners.
Yeah.
It's like California. A lot of gamblers travel to Vegas. Yeah. Vegas thrives on California, not sports betting, just everything. And California makes up a big in China.
Yeah, nobody's going to give a fuck about the Lions being there. They're going to be all over the Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
Which makes you think maybe
You
it
really
is
think
the
they're going
Lions
to give
here.
the Super Bowl away to Eminem and not Taylor
Right?
Swift?
I mean, come on. Just to even have Eminem there to like distract from her would be like, what the
Eminem's
fuck
like
would they be
50
thinking about
some years
that?
old. He's getting old. And he's looking younger, too. Tell me how that's possible. He got younger and he's older. That ain't even Eminem.
Dude, don't tell me that we missed a Eminem Taylor Swift collab at the Super Bowl.
Like, you remember the Celebrity Death Match? They used to, like, have a cartoon that made fun of the celebrities and they would go in the ring and fight. Do you remember Celebrity Death Match?
Yeah.
Yeah, this like, Celebrity Death Match, it would have been a perfect, like, Taylor Swift versus Eminem in a fucking Celebrity Death Match. You got Eminem and his followers, they will get killed by Taylor Swifties. Do you understand the army that she has?
Like, she's so
Eminem's
worldwide.
demographic is not under the age of 30.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking
Not
about.
even
Like,
under 40.
This music has some goofy fucking hypnotic sort of Discord effect
Big
on,
time.
like that's being spread from.
Maybe the program of music
Every corner of the
can
ice
write it
wall.
now. Write me a satanic lyric fucking album. Boom, boom, boom. There you
Right,
go.
yeah.
You put in 50 keywords.
It's
and
a
bam.
fucking computer
Here-
writing
here
it,
it
yeah.
pops up.
And all the Swifties, they believe that she's writing this stuff. It's like, what the fuck are you fucking mental? How have you not figured out that these rock stars and pop stars are not writing their own material? And if they are, it's like, it's usually vampiric or cannibalistic in some way. Or pedophilic in some way, too.
Absolutely.
Fucking weird ass shit. Weird ass world, man.
Yeah, I know. It's a damn
Very weird how the Lions are up 24-7 right now. We're screaming for a third and fourth quarter comeback.
the 30 to 24.
It's nothing too. Here's how they'll do it. They'll have San Fran score 2, maybe 2.
And a pickoff, like an interception, return back for a touchdown.
They'll have them
Crazy.
score 2 touchdowns
right away,
a quarter.
like in the first 7 minutes.
2 touchdowns a quarter is easy. What didn't the Niners score like 3 one game or
They
something?
scored-
They came back and they had like 14, 21 or something. I don't know.
I've seen 4
remember
touchdowns
exactly,
scored
but-
in under 3 minutes before.
Yeah.
I've seen that.
This
That's-
game is not even close to being over.
But see, that's the talk of tomorrow. Like, oh, the Niners are in trouble. They were down at the half, and the Chiefs are this, and it's going to be this.
Yeah.
And the plot shifted. You know how you would talk? I was talking about the organization of the NFL.
Like, this is perfect for the Lions
You
right
have-
now,
you-
and the betters just to milk it out and then rip it away from them.
And you have these networks.
And
That are
you
all-
won't get
all
any
together.
like betters trying to go in on the Niners at the end of the game too. So they'll actually cut down on the amount of people trying to go in on that at the end of the game. I mean, that would make sense.
There's a
That's
lot
what
of
we
peop-
see.
There's a lot of people that try to hedge their
Yeah.
bets where they
Right.
offset it.
Exactly.
It can backfire on them, but sometimes it's insurance. Like, if this happens, at least I only lost 50. If that happens, I won 200.
Right.
Like, you see how
Yeah.
it's still a loss, but it feels like a win.
Like
That's the
someone's
problem with the
probably
gambling.
hedging right now, but it's not
It's
quite
the same,
far
It's
enough.
the same thing in this whole gambling. It's all that false hope of
Yeah, I love
expectations.
it. Yeah, it's so like the way that they've scripted it, is like we've mentioned before. They can get these games down to the second, the millisecond where they want a score to be, and they can get the score exactly what they want it to be through a multitude of different scenario adaptations, right, on the fly.
I tell you, I played Madden at halftime and I was down by 40 and I came back and won.
Right, exactly. So that's in
if
the
that's
fucking,
possible,
yeah.
it's happened before.
You're right. If that happened, anything that has happened in a Madden football game, we could see it on that television happen with these real life players.
So here's the script, guys. Here's the second half Madden book. Here's the second half playbook. Go fucking perform.
Right? Yeah. This is nuts.
You know?
I want to know how they're actually doing it. I might never know until I pass into the ether and up into Arulu. But if I gotta wait till then, I mean, it's gonna be worth the wait probably, because how they're actually doing it, it's probably exactly how we're fucking said they're doing it. Probably pretty goddamn.
Because think about
close.
this: if you are,
It probably used to be more ingenious pre-technology.
way pre-technology. Because
right?
now everything is you
You
got
used to have like big brain coaches back then, like
Gotta have
where it was just the coaches in on it,
It's and you know what
It's just theorizing.
like WWE, they have a script, but it's not 100%. If we can keep the script to 70%, meaning on every move is going to be like what the script says, fall down and roll on your back and try to pin them for 2 seconds.
Sometimes they can't lift them and they have to audible. You'll see them try, especially the women. You'll see them try to do one and they're like, nope, we're too tired. We can't do this one.
Like they'll give
we got audible.
Like we're done.
Yep.
Now
instead, we're going to lay here and do a 2 count so we can rest.
But the NFL can have it where, all right, fellas. What we need here is we need a 30-24 final score. So what we're going to do is we're going to set the 24 at the first half for the Lions, which they did.
Yep.
But we just need the Niners to score 30 or more. We don't give a fuck. We need 30 points on the board. And that's like how I'm telling you, man, the numbers don't lie in this shit.
What are the numbers for the game?
It was 49ers -7.
Okay.
Over under 52.
Oh, well, you didn't know. Now a big Lions lead makes a heck of a lot more sense.
I'm telling you, man, there's something spooky.
Okay,
Now what you can break it down.
Everybody's thinking the same thing right now.
What you can break it down to even further is, if you've played Madden, we know what plays got us to 24-7 at halftime.
Yeah.
On this Madden game that we had just played at this halftime, think about all the plays that were ran to get, and I'm not talking interceptions or flags. We're just talking how the playbook goes. We just run the routes, and then we got a score. Second half, how did I find the score 30-24 if I'm playing Madden? Well, let's go back and look at the second half script plays. All right, we can run the routes here, and that's how we come up with 30 at the fucking second half. So I'm telling you, I'm telling you, an organization, like I said, NASA, with that many employees, can keep things quiet.
Yeah.
Then you go to the agencies of how many of them, they can keep everybody quiet. And then you even look at the government, where you have just normal Joe Schmoes that are not normal, people that are serving around in like the military organizations. Hollywood. They have stuff that they can't talk about. So if you can keep 1 million to 2 million, 3, 4 million, 5 million people.
Let's just say 500,000, like the Georgia Guidestones used to say, right? Everybody thought that they were talking about the entire population of humanity on Earth, the 500,000. Like, no, they were not. They were probably talking about the amount of their own numbers. Yeah. Operating on the surface.
Why can't an organization under 5,000 keep shit under the rug?
So, just for example, if they had 500,000 people on the surface to allocate to religious sectors, NFL sectors, public school sectors, every sector, okay? Every one of them. All the amount of lawyers in. We talked about this last time we met. Like, how many lawyers are even in the United States, and how many of them, in areas of actual influence over law and making laws, are not coming from pre-established universities where it's just the family members of whoever and club members of whoever and whoever that are actually getting these jobs, and it has nothing to do with like the best, the cream of the crop rising to the top. It has nothing to fucking do with that. Like, instead we have a society that it's set up. It's fucking staged almost. Like, it's almost a fabrication at some levels, but not to get too far off that point. But
you see how the organization, why can an organization of X amount that's national, like this like shit that's national
and
security.
It has a supercomputer feeding them a script.
Let's say that or protect national security, for example. NFL is not national security. They probably keep an eye out to make sure there's no like people trying to fucking do shit at a stadium that are terrorists or I understand that, but the NFL itself, they got their own community. They got their own organization. They're not an agency, meaning they're just an organization that gets away with printing a license to print money. And then you take this one factor. The house never loses. Vegas never lost before all this DraftKings shit. Vegas has always been around the sports betting avenue. It used to be the only place you could play sports bet was in the state of Nevada. Now, you take control. Now, first of all, you have control of all this money of what's going on, and nobody knows the real number. They can fabricate these numbers on the site to say, hey, 90% of the money's on the Chiefs, 10%, so we've got to take the 10% because the public loses. That was the theorem before. That was years before this. That was a theorem. You go against the public, you go against the public. But now when you have numbers where you can manipulate one game to pay more from another game, so you're giving up something to get something bigger in return. Yeah. And it snowballs itself, and then at the end of the season, we have two teams that are matched up. And every fan of every team has been guilty of refs throwing flags against them, shitty calls, games that should have been called because of this, games that shouldn't have been called because of that. But see what I'm saying? Now you got these billion-dollar corporations that are organizations. That's an organization of the DraftKings. Now you got the NFL. They merge together. The networks are all in on it. You got the players ready to go. And you might not have every single player per se. You're not might have the benchman, but you're going to have these star players. You could take I'd be 4 of them on each team. But I'm telling you, there's more to it because you have an organization that is organizing this whole platform.
That's right.
So that's my my final take from the season. I'm just saying this shit is just it's not even comprehensible anymore because you can't go against the public at times because it's not inconsistency anymore. It used to be.
Right.
But now they can just, instead of making X amount, we're going to make even more, but we're going to do it in a more like drawn out 20 weeks of the year.
Yeah. It's tailored to
Taylor Swift too. Tailored to her.
It is.
She's the big winner in this queen chessboard matchup.
It is tailored to that same idea of that chemical dopamine drip that I was describing earlier when the guy sees pretty girl, especially when her hoo-has are just staring at you through the screen. I don't know how to phrase this. The apparatus, the supercomputer that's conditioning this, that's like preconditioning you to bet a bunch. A lot of these numbers too, we've talked about this before. They entice. They're so psychologically enticing to get these new bettors in there. Get these new bettors betting. What is we see on DraftKings? $200 for $5. Anything to get them started.
$150 in free bets.
Yeah, we got insurance now on these not Final Fantasy, but fantasy sports league games where there was the disc golfer Kristen Tatar, who just had arguably maybe the best season that you could even ask for in a disc golf career, like won every major and won the world's championship, like just crazy awesome year. She picked up a sponsor, and it's kind of interesting to see the state of disc golf sponsors right now because we don't have like Nike in the sport, there's not Jordan in the sport and Adidas, some of your lesser stuff too, that we see in other sports. I mean, fucking Beanbags has like Bush's Beans, and all NASCAR has tons of sport or advertising. Disc golf. This chick just picked up. Have you ever heard of PAF?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I thought maybe you would know because it's like if you were to look it up, you'll find that it's like a video game, like casino games, betting games type of, digital poker, online poker. So she picked up a sponsorship from them. So it's like a gambling website. It's like, I don't know how the disc golf community really felt about that. I still don't really know.
Can you bet on disc golf? Do they have lines out there?
Well,
if they do, it's rigged.
It's
anything that has a sports line attached to it is
manipulated
and or rigged, and it's coincidental that the odds makers are so good.
is it coincidental that the podcasts all like, you know, go through this little game of giving their predictions for each tournament, like the top 5 finisher? They'll go through just like the ESPN guys do, you know?
Yep.
And it's like that's probably maybe not. You might not be able to argue that they're part of the apparatus. No, they're probably just following suit with what they see other sports doing. But maybe they do know why other sports are doing it that way. It's because you condition your audience to gamble in the future. Like, you guys see the pattern recognition. It's not like the world just got the way it was over fucking night. It just flashed in and all these things are fucked up. It got this way because there's certain things driving it forward. And it's like these karmic fucking things where we do it to our fucking selves. And that's why it takes time for things to gradually go to hell. And that's why the Bible, people might debate this, but why I would say the Bible ends in Revelations, right? That the world goes to hell before everything gets better. And that's to condition the audience to accept the world going to hell instead of fucking doing something about it. To continue to perpetuate hell into existence on earth. Like, that's the fucking trick. That's if... I'll just drop it at that, but it's like, last point on that, if that whole story of Satan and this and that and Satan falling to earth and now he's here trying to take over the earthly realm, he would have to do it through a perception value, and that's what we're seeing. You would create a fucking religion where it's like your savior is going to come save you after I make hell in this place, so aid me in doing that, basically.
Taylor Swift is the biggest global influence right now.
And that explains Taylor Swift in a nutshell, along with some other things that we've plenty mentioned.
She's getting ready to go over to Japan to perform.
Yeah.
They love her, man.
Dude.
I remember hearing about Taylor Swift back when I was living in Japan, and she was big over there then. The Japanese love Taylor Swift.
I don't even want to dislike her, you know? It's just like, what I'm seeing is like scary.
Very.
Legitimately, like, holy shit, like, y'all need to calm the fuck down. Like, you're missing a whole lot of this story, for one, people. I didn't even get into the number 13 and how that's Taylor Swift's number and how this Emerald Tablets of Thoth that I was talking about earlier, those texts where they were talking about the number 13 and how it's so goddamn important. Well, what does the Bible talk about? It talks about pretty much the same thing. How many disciples did Jesus have? 12? So how many of them were there? 13? You know? 49ers might be in the Super Bowl playing Taylor Swift. What numbers do those equal? 4 plus 9? I don't know. 13?
But you got to look at, if you're going to look at it from American way, for like lyrics. Americanized.
The world from
Green Day always good about putting music out during politic time. I love that stuff. Mind fucked America. They always come up with some sort of like spinning fucking Americans out of control. And a lot of people will understand if they listen to Green Day. But so let's say, since I've been living over, you know, I lived overseas, there was music that I would play that was obviously satanic in lyrics. But the girl I was with, she didn't understand the lyrics. She just liked the music and the beat and all that. Now, Japan, they don't give a fuck about Taylor Swift's lyrics. I just don't see them being like, I just don't see protesters outside of Tokyo Dome protesting Taylor Swift as Satanists. And they're not any different than the Swifties here, but the way they portray what we do in America, our lyrics, it's a culture shift of what's perpetrated as satanic music and what's not. Is it this music or is it the words? Is it Travis Scott conference with all the fires and the devils?
Right. Like,
the perception could be satanic, but if you just do straight up lyrics, I don't know. I can agree to disagree on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Our generation with the kids out there, they're fixated. They know every Taylor Swift word, backwards and forward. So maybe that's different than somebody over in Japan that just say, I like she's this. They don't even know anything but They know football now. Japan's going to be watching the Super Bowl because Taylor Swift said, watch my boyfriend Kelsey. You got to pay per view in Tokyo. Good luck trying to find it. Well, you can find a bar probably playing it in Japanese.
Yeah, that's interesting. I guess I didn't think about, well, the people that speak other languages, the English language.
Just like Germany, there's a band
wouldn't have the same effect on them.
No, there's a band in Germany that's very satanic, and the words are satanic, and I've listened to it and I understand it. But I know Americans that know the band. It's Rammstein. You ever heard of the band? In Germany, they're like they're fucking like you. They don't play their music on regular radio over there because the people over there don't like it. Yeah. See what I mean? Like it's evil fucking. But I knew the German language, but I didn't put two and two together. But there's a lot of fire in their music. Every eighth word has something to do with the fire. Like, this shit's satanic. And a girl I dated in Germany, I remember singing Rammstein. She's like, she called me a Nazi.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it had something to do with the Nazi and the regime. Like, they're going to kill everybody because they're presenting. That's why they loved American music versus like that. So anyway, that's how music worldwide is.
Well, that's interesting how we get dosed with the German music that's like satanic.
It's very
like,
satanic.
What else? If you told me, hey, your life fucking depends on it, you need to tell me one German goddamn song or band right now. Rammstein might be the only fucking one I know.
It's the only one over there that I remember. Like, they were going to perform a concert, and I asked this girl, like, you want to go see Rammstein with me? And she goes, fuck no. She's like, I ain't going there. And she was a cool German chick. She just said, I ain't going. I said, why not? She's like, because it's like, it's evil. It's like...
I guess it would be like taking them to a Rob Zombie concert over here or something.
Not even, like, I guess, something...
Wow. Very interesting.
Very interesting. I know. Yeah, man. It's what it is.
I haven't been able to ask the German gal about music yet.
Yeah, ask her about Rammstein. Be like, do you like rap? She'd be like, fuck that fucking evil shit. Maybe
Right.
she'll like it, but
Now
it's
I
like
wanna know.
Americans. We have certain music that was considered, but you had followers and people either love it or hate it. There's no in between.
Interesting.
You either love it or hate it, and if you love it, everybody else hates you for it. And if you hate it and everybody else loves it, now they hate you for not loving it. It's like give or take.
What's this Chiefs fans' deaths?
Yeah, they were sitting outside and froze to death.
What?
Yeah, that was
So we
wild.
just saw, we have like a bunch of TVs for anybody who's new and didn't understand.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So Niners kicked a field goal, now they're down by 2 touchdowns.
14 points. Wham bam.
Yep.
Yeah,
Well-
they was sitting in last week's game, sitting outside and froze to death, and it was freezing down in Kansas City. That was one of the coldest football games ever played in Kansas City. It was negative like 10 for a high. So they was all sitting outside. I don't know what they were doing, but they ended up they died, and whoever was hosting the party, I don't know. They're looking for him. But you know what? Who knows what's going on?
Yeah,
man?
who knows if it's real.
I mean, I could call down to Kansas City and be like, hey, are these names real? Like, oh yeah, they live fucking like 2 blocks down the road.
Yeah, did you know?
Do I want to do that? Fuck no. But I could find the truth versus what's facts.
I had a joke earlier about how they get people to not talk, right? How they keep everybody in on it. How they keep 20,000 people at NASA quiet.
Keep them quiet.
They show him a video of Kobe Bryant living in Antarctica.
Shooting
And
real
he's
basketball,
like,
clothing
this could
fucking-
be you. He's got it.
And he's got Kim Jong-un on speed dial for unlimited organs.
Yeah. He's got
They're
Kim
cloning these
Jong-un
fuckers and they're creating them out of Antarctica. I can see
Kobe
it.
and pick one other famous person. Tupac.
And you know what? Here's the thing. You know what? The truth is, Tupac died because, you know why? I was in Las Vegas, and I asked the Uber driver, I said, take me where Tupac got shot. He said, all right. And I said, do you know that he got shot here? He's like, no, man. He's like, everybody knows he got shot here. I said, okay, so that's the truth. But the facts are different. So you have that
The truth
fact and
is
truth.
not Well, how did
it's
you
not.
say it? The truth
is that he did because
Yeah.
I've been inside the location. Okay, but the facts are.
See, I use that one synonymously. I use truth and.
But the
fact
point
as
is,
like
yeah, you take
synonymous.
they're
That
up in
throws me off.
Antarctica and they're doing whatever they're doing, man.
Yeah.
What a
Kobe's
party
there.
place.
Kobe's there along with whoever he was in the helicopter.
Yeah.
He's like, well, this is my new. Nah,
And you know what? Do you think if you're a billionaire and you have a big enough ship, you could just effortlessly go to Antarctica? That you know how big Antarctica is, sir?
Wow.
Do you know what? But I can't confirm this because I've never measured it, but I'm going off of what the stats say.
Yeah.
Do you know how big Antarctica is?
That's how billionaires would die. They wouldn't be prepared for that like weather, and they would, they might not be stocked up. Or one problem
Or you
happens.
gotta hire. You would have to get like a naval
Yeah,
fleet.
you'd have to have backup. Otherwise, it's be like, hey, who would you call? Like, not even the Ghostbusters deliver that.
Do you know how big Antarctica is?
Well,
Do you know?
Allegedly, I have no idea.
It's like 1.5 times the size of the United States in landmass.
Okay, allegedly, sure.
Allegedly. See,
Yeah,
I'm
right.
telling you that,
Yeah.
that's what they say. In truth and fact, I gotta go with their numbers and okay.
Yeah,
and
whatever
maybe it's
Google
less.
Maps
Let's
says.
just say that. Let's say it's 10% of that. Now we're talking like America, but
Including the hole in the middle?
including the hole to the.
Yeah, wherever it flips inside
The
out, and
forbidden
there's
fruits
like
are hitting in layers. And they're just recreating heat from ice. I don't know what they're doing.
they're
But,
baking mana and gas.
So if you had a big enough, you would have to have, and if you're a billionaire, it's like you gotta have a contingency plan. So I don't think there's any way in and out of it. I think cruise ships go by it and they're like, hey, there's Antarctica over there, and you only see like.
Yeah.
Imagine coming into America and you're going by New York City and you're somebody from overseas and you're like, here's New York City from the boat, and then you go up through Canada. Well, what the person goes, what's going on 3,000 miles that way? And they're like, oh, we can't tell you behind there. So maybe Antarctica is some sort of that. They give people like, here's the rock or here's the whatever.
Right, here's the South Pole, but it's not even close.
But nobody knows 100 miles past that.
Right.
So I think there's access to say, hey, it's there, but to know, no, man. I don't know what the...
Yeah, to know, you'd have to actually be there and chart it all out by yourself.
Or find somebody...
You'd have to find some way to see it all.
Or I get in the DeLorean and I travel back, and when I said, hey, do you want to go to Antarctica? Fuck yeah, I want to go. Is there anything holding you back? This chick. We're going to send you to Singapore instead. That type of shit. I've been like, motherfucker, I'm going to Antarctica. So... On my bucket list, it's one of those, I can go to space before I go to Antarctica. That's the difference. I got $250,000, go book a flight with Virgin Galactic out in Cali or wherever they're from. Maybe Vegas at this point. I can just take an hour flight, go take a picture up in space and come back down.
Yeah.
But I can probably take a picture of Antarctica from space, but I can't go there.
Yeah, let's have one.
Area 51, you can fly up there and see down. But you can't go there. See what I'm saying? Like, I don't know what's going on.
Like, you can't take a flight all the way over it. Like, there's something obviously going on. Otherwise, it would be a fucking tourism thing that they would sell.
And people can't just be like, Area 51. You can drive by Area 51. You can go up and there's gates. And people try to send drones in there. People try to infiltrate it. They're going to get killed.
Right.
Or just, turn back and get the fuck out of here and don't come back.
Right. There's probably lasers
like you said, there's
there.
so much terrain around Antarctica that they believe that it'd be like maybe there's a hurricane going on around it. I don't know, man. But I know that if based off the temperatures, it's too cold to snow there at times. But they have all the snow, and I don't know what's going on. So
that is kind of an interesting thought. Like, where does the precipitation come from if it's too fucking cold to snow?
And it's dark like 6 months out of the year. Some crazy stat, like parts of it is not there in the light, and then.
Well, yeah. Then they allege there's like a 24-hour sun during some parts of the year.
It's like Alaska, but it's a longer version of Alaska because Alaska's
how many of us?
The United States is 1 point, or the Antarctica is 1.5 times. So you got to look at they're the way that's fucking spooky. Alaska goes 24 hours of darkness and 24 hours of lightness. In certain times of the year.
Right, and allegedly. Everybody.
But I've been to Alaska, and I know that it was 2 in the afternoon and it was dark. That I know, because my clock said And this was before our cell phone. This was 2 p.m. and it was dark. And I think I was there in, I don't remember, in February, January, like our winter time. So I just remember it was dark. But I was never there when it was fully light. But I know if people have been to Alaska, I know 3 people that live in Alaska right now that I never bothered with them about that. I'm like, is that shit fake? And they'll be like, no, it's real. It's dark right now and it's noon. And I'll be like, take a picture.
Right, yeah.
Take a picture with you in it to make sure that that's not fake.
I know, right?
No,
like,
it's a perception. Unless you've ever been there, you gotta.
To actually prove things, it's really more of a tougher thing than I think most people are thinking.
Like I said,
like
somebody
a lot
said
of
the
people
pyramids
pick
are
up
fake, and I'm
book.
like, motherfucker, I was at the pyramid. The Marianas Trench is fake. Bitch, I studied geology in the Mariana Island of Guam for 12 months. I've seen Marianas Trench. I know it's there. Bullshit. I'm like, well, there you go. Fuck off. I mean, what else am I supposed to do? I can't prove much more than that. Was I supposed to bring a piece of Marianas Trench and like put it on the plane and be like, here's a rock for me, fucking found down in Marianas Trench. This one was 6.8 miles deep.
That's the thing about this belief mentality is people want to latch on to something and then that's just what they use to explain the world and process the world. And it's like, no, that belief is a box that you just put yourself into that now you have to get out of that fucking box when new information comes along that might change, the overall perspective.
Yep.
So it's like if you just don't ever like latch on to something, and if something is provable as true in fact, then you don't even have to believe it. It's just then at that point it's just fact. It's like here's why it's fact, because we can prove it in this way. And you would just explain it that way. There would be no belief involved. All belief is like you're now creating this self that you're saying, well, I believe in that. So now you're creating this self in somebody else. You should also attach yourself to this. And it's like, no. Like, that's just your ego that you're attaching to, first of all. But anyway, we won't get down into that
I think
subject. But
it's such a rabbit hole.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things that explains people's perception and then their actions, But it's like, it's kind of difficult to explain without application for somebody to actually like, okay, I get this, and how to remove it. It can be a little bit difficult.
I was talking to somebody that they gotta go take a polygraph to be a teacher.
Excuse me. Okay, yeah.
And they're like, those things are a mess. They ain't anything. They're fake. That whole like.
It's
remember,
just scary.
They didn't know that
they
had no idea that
I've
had to take multiple polygraphs in the past. And so I said, oh yeah, why? I said, okay, wise guy. I'm like, you think a polygraph? I mean, what do you know about polygraphs? He's like, well, just the things that I see on the movies, the little charts that go up and down. He's like, I know how to beat that. He's like, I got this system figured out with my breathing. I know like what to say, what not to say, and I can beat this thing. And I said, interesting.
Okay.
I said, you can do all the research in the world, but you really don't know what a polygraph is unless you've had one.
Right.
It's not somebody like putting their thing on your wrist and like, oh, he tests 6 heartbeats in like 8 seconds. He's deceptive about something,
Yeah.
It is though, with technology now, the equipment, it's become so advanced. Because when I first took my very first polygraph, it was so what I try to do is I try to explain. Okay, so I try to explain polygraph in the easiest way because I've been explained. So here's what I said to this individual. I said, have you ever been pulled over before? And I asked people how it feels when they got pulled over and they realized they were getting pulled over by the police. That moment you're going over a hill and you see a police officer on the side of the road, or you're going around the corner and there's a cop there, or all of a sudden you see flashing lights in your rear view mirror Describe how you felt when that was going on. And most people have the heart beating out of their chest. They start hyperventilating. People will get mad. Some people will get sad. And all those things that are happening inside your body when you're realizing you're being pulled over by the police are also being regulated by your autonomic nervous system. It sounds a lot like automatic because that's what it is. Whenever your brain senses that you're in a stressful or threatening situation, it automatically kicks in these physiology changes inside your body because it thinks it needs to be helped to keep you alive. Have you ever heard of the flight, fight, or freeze?
Fight or flight?
Fight, or freeze.
Fight, flight, or freeze. Okay.
Yep. So you're walking in the woods and you hear a bear growl, right?
Yep.
You
personally, yes, I have. Yep.
You're going to either you're going to fight the bear or you're going to freeze and run away. Your brain is going to overload, so now you can't process what's happening. So you're going into the overload, can't process what's happening. So I'm going to give you 3 options to help keep you alive. You may ask, well, what the hell does that have to do with, what does that have to do with telling a lie? I'm sure you agree from a very young age, you were taught that it's wrong to lie, cheat, or steal. Lie, cheat, or steal. That's the one thing that I learned up till 18 that wasn't bullshit. Lie, cheat, or steal. Don't do any of those. So,
you should watch this catch though too.
So would you agree with that? Lie, cheat, or steal?
Yeah. The things that you're told to do that are wrong, that that might make you feel shame.
Yep. So, like in a polygraph, if you're asked a question, did you do whatever, and the word no comes out of your mouth, your brain will automatically sense that as a stressful or threatening situation because it knows there's consequences with that lie that you had told. The severity of it doesn't matter to your brain. You could get grounded Friday night, or you could spend the rest of your life in prison. The brain can't differentiate between the severity of the consequence. It just knows, holy fuck, you told a lie, there's consequences with those lies. And the physiological changes that go inside of your body are the same thing that are happening when you're answering questions on a polygraph.
Yeah.
There's questions about, they know when you're telling a lie, the truth, is your name so-and-so, are you sitting down, are you in the state of wherever, and questions about lying, they have differential questions. So, for example, last time you saw this would be like a murder polygraph. Are you lying about the last time you saw this person? Do you know where they are now? And are you lying about having anything to do with a murder or disappearance? In a job polygraph, it could be something simple as, are you sitting down, like say you're a teacher, you're going in for polygraph, and teachers in most cases have to do some sort of polygraph, and I don't know the extent of it because I've never been in the education system, but I know it's there for crimes, especially teacher and students. There's a lot of narcissists that are teachers that, hey, I can get away with this, and they get fucking folded under pressure. Yeah. So like an example, is your name this or in the state? Have you ever texted anybody under the age of 18? No. Well, now they may be flagged. Well, I text my daughters and they're 14. Well, we'll keep your daughters out of it. So that's, how it gets to, the whole thing is it's a baseline to somebody, it's a baseline for somebody to ultimately expose and then confess the truth to a lie. It's where the rubber meets the road to confess or to the innocent.
Yeah.
So that's when you mentioned polygraph at the beginning. I'm like, I gotta tell, because I just talked with somebody that thinks they're just like, well, I'm gonna walk in there, I don't have no issue. But I said, you know what? The only way you can pass a polygraph. Here's the secret to polygraph: don't lie.
There it is.
And then they're like, well, I'm actually nervous. And I'm like, what they're gonna do is they're not gonna look at they're gonna look at your baseline. Because if I see lights in the mirror, my baseline could be like, oh shit, but I have nothing to hide. If I'm going in for interrogation for a murder crime or a witness,
how tense do you get?
I'm already nervous. But when the questions are answered and I'm being deceptive, a lie detector is not a polygraph. A polygraph is just it's not a lie detector. It's a deception detector. It's telling people, can I trust you with secrets, or are you going to fold under pressure if you have secrets?
That's right.
And
that's
it's
right.
all,
That's a good way to
and
describe
that's
it,
exactly how the psychology of your autonomic nervous system. You can't just turn that shit off, no matter how much you practice. If you have anything to do with a crime and you admit and you're going to do a polygraph that you're going to pass it, you are fucking not getting out of that room. You are not getting out of that room unless you quit. And the thing about polygraph, you can obviously walk out at any time unless it's for a job. But if you're like, I'm giving this advice to anybody that's ever gets in any type of trouble and you know you're fucked, you got to call a lawyer. Don't admit to a polygraph. Because the other thing is they'll be like, well, I was just being deceptive because I was scared.
Yeah. Right.
Well, motherfucker, no. You would be scared on every question.
Yeah.
You would be scared on, is your name Joe? Are you sitting down? Are you in the state of wherever?
Right.
Do you know are you lying about the last time that you, see what I mean?
How about this? It's you can maybe describe some of it, not to that degree where it's like you're in a cross-examination, and your freedom might depend on it or something like that. But imagine it's like, it's first down, it's beginning of the game. That play isn't really that important. But now it's fourth down, 3 inches to go. The Super Bowl's on the line.
Yeah.
Not just any Super Bowl. It's the Taylor Swift Bowl.
The Swift Bowl.
And now, your baseline in those two situations is going to be way fucking different. But what Kevin is saying is, like, even in those two states, given you're like super nervous, super stiff, or cool as a cucumber, it's still going to detect like your deception amongst that. So the people who like think, oh no, I can say it cool and calm and collected.
I can breathe.
It's not really like, you can't trick it that way. It's like your nervous system, it detects when you're conjuring a story, because to do that you have to put your head in you have to think about what you're saying first. So it's like it can detect that activity, and then you coming up with this story. It's like I shouldn't say it's exactly what it's doing. That's not what I wanted to say either. But what I'm thinking about it, that kind of seems to be like how it would detect deception, because it's measuring all of your little nervous movements and reactions, which are all the result of your thoughts and feelings. So,
well, you got to look at first
to
of all,
pass one of those, you would literally have to. It would have to be in a manner where you were able to rehearse it, like it was a character in a movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like you could maybe pass a lie detector on that. I wonder. I would be very interested to see something like that. Like, let's put somebody on a lie detector test who's an actor, who like prepared this role and has played it for years, mm-hmm. And then let's see if they can like pass a lie detector test about. We'll ask him questions like, "Are you really Legolas from The Lord of the Rings?" And he's like, "Yes," and you're like, holy shit, no deception. This guy has actually believed. And he's not, like, type of thing. That would be really interesting. That would say a lot about a polygraph test but
because it's
very
when I was we used to do this so we'd play in home, like a home poker game, and there was like 8 of us, and we'd sit around, and we were all just on the road, and we're just traveling.
Did
right?
the Niners just recover? So sorry, we haven't really updated the score at all. The Niners did score a touchdown, so they're within 1, and I think the Lions just fumbled and turned it over to the Niners with pretty good field position.
Oh, big time! They're on the 20.
They're almost in the red zone.
Here we go. This is playing out like it should.
This could tie the ball game. Yeah, interesting.
Like, he just let it go. Here you go.
Oh, he did kind of. No, I mean,
but that's how it is.
Yeah, I mean, these things. Yeah, I find myself wanting to say the same shit we've said like all season. So since it's been 2 weeks, sometimes I do feel like we need to catch people up again, like rehash. But
and what you had said about the autonomic nervous system was what I learned a lot about that through poker.
Oh, shit.
Because think about if you're at a poker table and you see 20 hands that are all shit.
You see extra
and
time.
all of a sudden you
being
get
taken
pocket
in your
aces and
Something like
oh
that.
shit, your brain can't differentiate folding, raising, or all in. It's just like automatically it's like, oh shit, I'm under stress. And I was when I was traveling around,
I gotta make
and
the
I would
right
play. I would play with other people that were interested in the autonomic nervous system and how it's regulated. We had these heart rate monitors.
Oh.
So you'd hook up these heart rate monitors, and somebody would be over like reading heartbeats, and they would tell us, you know, just based off of you sitting there and not having any like nerves, you're at like a 88 beats per minute, and it could be 66 if you're stagnant with no people around. And they would show, like, this is this experiment that was done, and this is like how poker. Anybody plays poker knows what I'm talking about. It's no different than autonomic where you're at a slot machine and it says pick 3 boxes, and it says you've got these first 2, pick one more, and all of a sudden, bam, I hit the jackpot, and you're like, ah, and then, oh shit, but I won $14. So you see how you can't just shut that off.
Yeah.
It's automatic, and but we can regulate it in stressful situations.
Dude, one reason I psychedelics, people, be careful with those because, or that's what they talk about when people have bad trips. It's you can't turn that autonomous.
Nope.
See, I used to call it autonomous, but that's not it. It's autonomous nervous system and autonomic.
Mm-hmm.
Autonomic.
Just automatic.
And shit. No, I lost my point, but
that's like, and then just the end of the polygraph with that is, not only are you being asked questions, but it's very uncomfortable. I mean, mentally uncomfortable, and there's, you know, you sit down on this little movement pad because the pad is supposed to be you know, how your body movements.
Maybe that's the point.
Contractions,
all the
whatever
sounds.
you're sitting on, and plus you're plugged and you're strapped in and all tied up.
There's a 49
It takes so much time
too.
to get that thing going before they start asking questions, and baseline questions first and then others. And then it's like, holy shit, just got real. And now if you're going in for a job interview, you should feel nervous. It's normal. But if you're there for...
I gotta say this, I'm sorry. That their Niners are going 24-24. They scored their 23rd point at 3:02, and it's to tie the game where like the inverse part of the match would go because now the Niners catch up and they go ahead. So okay, I had to note that just for future reference. Okay, during a job interview.
Yeah, so that would be somebody that'd be nervous. Like, but if they have anything to hide, they're gonna be fucked, and that's the issue. Is like people think it's just this fucking thing you see on a movie.
Yeah.
It is, but it's like, holy shit, you're like...
That's what I was going to say. Okay, the autonomous...
Like, here's how you work. If you're an actor and your character is you fucking serial kill people and you're like...
Dexter.
Yeah. And you go in and you say Anthony whatever.
Anthony Hopkins.
And you're not Dexter. You're
Hannibal the Cannibal.
Hannibal Cannibal. Or,
Talk about autonomous nervous system. That movie,
the,
Silence of the Lambs, like I think he does such an amazing job of capturing his ability to control that.
Yeah.
Like, masterfully done. I was like, holy shit, this guy is like... It's like he's seen the whole script, the whole, like, from beginning to end, and he knows exactly how to play it. Like, even at the end of one where he gets free and then he gets over to Morocco or whatever... You see him at the end, and he's like, he puts that hat on, and he's walking in the crowd.
Yeah.
And what he's doing, and he's like blending. You can see him just like blend in with the pace of the crowd. Mm-hmm. It's like, geez, this guy it's such a masterful display through film. Like somebody that is saying so much to you about like the state of consciousness and like controlling your nervous system.
Yeah.
What I was going to say about it before I forgot it.
An actor could do...
Is the casino things, the machines.
Yeah.
They play all those noises.
KFC.
And then when it's your choice to make when it's your time to make a choice, it'll leave you suspended. And it leaves you on a keynote that's unresolved. And what I mean by that is it's like this versus... So Just spinning. I'm a spinny little casino machine. And then, what's your decision? What are you gonna do? Oh, I want to hear that good old music again, so I hit this button. You won $5. Okay,
Yeah.
Spin again. What's your decision again? It just keeps hitting you with this cycle like that. And that was a pretty simple rendition of it. But just for example, everyone, I guess a lot of words hit my brain at that moment. I'm not sure how many of them I want to say. Some of them included a Taylor Swift song, but I think I brought that example in the last episode where I was talking about she has this song named Happiness, and it's just like it's all meditative state, like euphoric type of background, and the lyrics are just like invoking certain emotions where it's like, God damn, this is just a hypnotic machine right now, like trying to encapsulate me, and it's like I guess that's how it's happening. There's some element of what we'll call discord here it's taken over the minds of these youngsters and unsuspecting, unarmed spiritual populace.
So I hope that puts people at ease about a polygraph.
Yeah, that's a good explanation of it.
Oh, and then it's one-sided communication, so you can't just ask the polygrapher, start asking questions. It's yes or no.
About context or anything like that. It's just yes or no.
And you gotta look. You gotta.
It's gotta be
while
frustrating
somebody's staring at you while you're strapped into all the shit.
Right.
And you're focused on your breathing. You're making sure you're not scratching. You're not doing anything to disrupt the test.
Yeah.
And you gotta look. You gotta pick a spot over there, and the polygrapher gets a stare at you.
Yeah.
I mean, if you are guilty by anything, you are folding under pressure. That's the beauty of it, man. And now, are they reliable? Absolutely. For job interviews and to find out what the truth for people that are narcissistic criminals and they think they can just effortlessly get away with it. Are they in court of law? No, because usually a person gets a polygraph that's fucking, we know you're lying, they will fold and confess to the crime. So really, why do you need to bring it to fucking court? Because it's... But if the person in halfway through says, I want a lawyer, I'm leaving, well, now you can't just bring like this evidence and be like, okay, well, that's the difference. So you see how people say, well, it's not usually court, so I can just lie my way through it. Motherfucker, you're going to fold under pressure because they're going to interrogate you with the tactics that you can't even comprehend. I'm sat in rooms and I'm like, this motherfucker, I told that one guy, I'm like, you would fold under pressure if you got in fucking trouble. I'm like, you just... Because your age and you're going to be, it's no different than sextortion. You're going to tell you're fucking worried. Yeah. You're fucking, I just went out of this room.
Yeah, it's because your database of information and experience just isn't large enough.
And 99% of people, unless you've been through they just know the...
It's, emotional experience in emotion, in those situations, controlling your emotions is like... Even like buying a car, or like painting your house a certain color. It's like making decisions can be very hard for people, just even basic ones.
And you know what they do? Yeah.
That knowing how to actually pull off a lie, I guess a lot of people
you can tell people a lie and get away with it, but if you internally you're gonna fucking
they're not internally practiced to pull that off,
just like bluffing in poker. I'm not ready to represent pocket aces unless I have it. I'm fucking scared and terrified. I'm gonna fold and fucking fold under pressure. I just want to fold, and not see the flop.
Right. The idea that you can trick a lie detector test is maybe possible, okay, but that would be such a small percentage of the entire population of people that could do it. Those people would probably never even take a polygraph test. So it's like
most of you don't.
It's almost one of those.
You only take a polygraph to get a job.
It's like but I saw Steven Seagal do it. I saw Steven Seagal do it. He said that he climbed Mount Everest, and he hadn't climbed Mount Everest, or had he? It's like it just makes you wonder, it was like... And
then they put like a clock that goes... They put one of those old-fashioned battery clocks where it goes...
Oh, yeah.
So you can hear it. Yeah, so if you're trying to breathe your way out of it, First of all, you're nervous already because of that.
Yeah.
And you're like, if I just breathe with the clock or breathe every 5 clicks, my heart rate is going to remain. And when I'm asked a big question, I'm just going to like, okay, breathe. No.
Yeah, here's the reality too. Like, you don't think that a person that's trained to give polygraphs is not going to notice somebody using breathing techniques? Yeah. Like, they're going to see the same patterns in the feedback that somebody's using a technique to calm themselves down. Yeah. Because when you're asked a question, like I said earlier, it's interesting how we got into all this, and how it triggers your database. And I told you, it triggers your muscle memory at the same time. Like I mentioned that to y'all. So you see how like my education combines with Kevin's education and experience on like things like polygraph testing and deception. Like sometimes I have to tell people in chat, it's like in chat rooms where they, I say something and they like start balking at me because it's the first time they've heard it. It's like, dude, I'm literally educated to do this, to find this truth, whether this information or something is bunk, right? And it's down to that, like we were saying, that level where it's all a part of your autonomic nervous system, and
let me
like
tell you
all of these little thoughts.
Now let me tell you about the most nervous I've been in a polygraph. Wasn't during the polygraph. It was after, when they said, we need you to come back in tomorrow at whatever time, and we got to go over a few more questions. Now think about this one. They could use that as a that could have been for like, okay, we just want to find out how this person
get you
reacts.
back in there, right?
Now think about this. Try to go to sleep. What did I say wrong? Did I say this? Did I not say that? What do they got on me? What am I hiding? What am I not? That's where. Yeah. That's when. But then I went back next day, and they're like, they asked me some questions, and they're like, okay, we got it done, and then that's it. So
oh my
just
god,
like,
that's so funny to me.
It wasn't a time, but I'm like, I had nothing to hide because I knew that going in, I have nothing to hide, and I'm going up to do something very fucking cool. So why would I want? If I see, that's how
it's
it all
funny
works.
to me because it's like I relate it to like any of the court situations or legal situations I've been in, and what he's saying is so true. Like sometimes you can get arrested, and it's like you'll laugh it off, but then the next day it's like the call from the probation officer or whatever it was, or it's like the call from your lawyer. Like a lot of reasons. This is so interesting psychologically because I see this happen to so many people. Like little things, like also throw in there like unemployment. Like you have to do little certain tasks that you don't like to do and that kind of make you feel like a jerk, an unemployed like scrub in society. So you kind of avoid doing those things. And the point I'm trying to make is like contacting your lawyer, doing like following up with a court case or something. Like you'll see a lot of people kind of dodge those things or put those things off and like kind of mess things up, make them harder on themselves because the stress and the thought of just dealing with it, their autonomic nervous system like seizes them up so much and puts them in a state of such a panic where it's like it actually releases stress cortisol in their brain, which is kind of a paralyzing thing anyway because it triggers this fight or flight or
fight or fucking run. Fight or fear. Fight, flight, or fear.
What other one was it? Fight, flight, or...
You talking about fight, flight, or fear?
Or fear. Okay, maybe fear was it. Okay. I've always heard it as fight or flight. I've always described that situation as like, oh, fight or flight. But you had a third one there. And
maybe it was fight or flight.
You had a third word in there, and I was like, well, I guess, yeah, that actually... Or like pause, basically. Fight or flight or pause was kind of at least the context of it. The action part of the word.
It was fight, flight, or freeze.
Freeze! That was it, yeah.
The bear.
Fight, fright, or freeze. I can't even fucking say it. Fight, fright, or freeze. Say that.
Now you're getting that 5th degree. We got to figure that one out.
Oh my god.
Right? You didn't get enough education. You need to figure that out.
It's I gotta crack on myself a little bit because it's like I can go from like answering phones and talking to business professionals, to casual conversations in society at a gas station, and then I spend one day just like hibernating online playing video games or like, you know, online chatting with people, where I'm not actually really verbalizing words or talking that much. And then I come here and I'm like, oh yeah, I need to like present a lot of information and speak a lot and use a lot of words that I don't actually say. And it's like, oh, you can't just think them sometimes, because thinking goes so much faster than actually saying it. So a lot of times when I actually come to record, you'll probably hear a lot where it's like I'll forget the point I was making, because my thoughts will go a lot faster than my words can.
Well,
keep
then
up
having
with.
5 TVs also is a distraction.
Oh no, yeah, we're not doing ourselves any favors.
Do you know what that would be
that.
called? Child abuse. If you put a kid in front of 5 TVs,
God.
they'd be like, no wonder why the kid's got ADD and his eyes are bad.
It's a great
that's
point.
child abuse. Put all the video games. But if you have one kid in front of fucking 2 feet from one TV, it's okay.
Yeah, how old do you
demonstrate.
need to be to have 5 TVs?
As long as, good question, man. I used to see a lot of TVs.
There's got to be an age. Give us a number out there. Someone figure it out. Do some like brain science and get back to us with an age. Oh, look at the stadium there. That stadium's looking pretty sharp in the dark. It kind of looked. I'm sure I was seeing it incorrectly, but it sort of looked like a parking garage on the outside. Like you could sort of see in. I don't know what was happening with that. It didn't seem to make any sense. 49ers are doing a little drive here. We'll see if they end up scoring on this drive, or there's seemingly quite a bit of time left on the clock. I think, was it 14 minutes on the fourth? Yeah, 14 minutes to about 30 seconds left on the fourth. So there's plenty of game, and it's 24-24 still. Seems like the Niners have all the momentum here.
Is Joe and Troy?
I haven't seen Joe or Troy.
The talking heads, dead. The talking deadheads, I call them.
The talking dusty deads.
Yeah.
I haven't seen them.
Hey, they're in Antarctica in a basement somewhere.
That's where they brought.
That's what you want to go to Antarctica. Joe Buck and Troy Aikman are there.
Dude, that's. I
don't want to.
Forget that thought. Don't verbalize that one.
Here comes the Niners, home
Here
field
come the Niners.
marching down the field.
I was watching
marching down the field.
I was watching the Outback Steakhouse commercial. The pasta and steak with Alfredo sauce looked exceptional.
Here comes the Niners, marching back.
Here they come. Yep. That 52 over under is looking pretty suspicious. It's looking pretty weak right now, unless like the Niners kick a field goal and then nobody else scores.
Yeah, that'd be right under 51.
Yep.
Damn.
Yep.
How convenient did they put it so close?
Right. Yeah. So I do think we'll see
the second half
over.
Madden playbook came out. Tell me this shit's real.
Dude.
Tell me this shit's real. Guys, you know how I told you 50 keywords in languages to learn? It's 5 key plays in the fucking second half, dickheads.
I feel like I don't.
5 key plays.
I don't want to jinx it.
Out of 50 plays, 5 make up.
Which makes no sense because the script is already written. Like,
well, they got 50 different plays to make up for 5 to make the script work itself. Time. I gotta combine all the time. We need a touchdown in 30 seconds, or we need a touchdown in 8 minutes and 30 seconds. Let's fucking milk it, or we need 4 touchdowns in 3 minutes, which I've seen happen. Most bananas thing I've ever seen in my life. And the over-under was like a 44.5, and it was like whatever the score was. It was like they needed fucking 4 touchdowns to cover the over. It was man. No. College, I've seen 5 touchdowns scored in 4 minutes. So anyway, you could fucking run the whole scenario, but I'm telling you, Madden script part 2, fucking second half.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, how many people are? When I woke up this morning and I was just kind of like doing my thing, I was like, how many people are doing like special, superstitious things today? Like, oh, can't wear that color today because if I wear that color, I'm jinxing my bet. Or like, there's a hat on the bed. I'm putting a hex on myself or something. I watched that. Oh, what was that? Drugstore Cowboys, was it that movie? Where I watch a lot of movies, y'all, so I make a lot of movie references as a result.
Have you seen this movie called Leave the World Behind?
Wait, Leave the World Behind, maybe. I think I have heard of it, but there's a new movie with Snoop Dogg where he's a football coach. And it's, dude, it's heavy conditioning, bad heavy conditioning, like, it's kind of bad conditioning. Like, and then I watched Varsity Blues on top of it, and I was like, dude, Varsity Blues was in like 2011. They've been dosing us with this football's the fucking hero mentality, like, oh my god, just for so long.
Maybe Snoop Dogg will be a coach of the NFL.
But what is that movie? I can't remember the name of it. The Underdogs.
Oh.
He's a washed up former NFL superstar and with an ego, and has to coach a bunch of kids that are, it's like the little rascals, like the crappy team versus the really good team. So, but it's kind of like the little kids are like swearing, dropping F-bombs, just like, it's odd, like social conditioning for children watching that. Like,
that's sports, man.
Jeez.
You know what? Like 1%.
Come on, personal foul. Brock Purdy's getting messed up. Throw the flags.
Yeah, put him up to the goal line. That was Tom Brady, you'd be killed.
Dude, if I would have worn my lucky socks.
Yeah. But yeah, the people that are, or you're the asshole that, man, everybody showed up in fucking red and you showed up in fucking blue.
Yeah, what?
Where's your spirit?
We're all wearing the white jerseys, not the blue Lions
you know what I
jersey.
mean? But see how then it's all your fault.
Yeah. Or somebody brought like.
You want to talk about somebody's autonomic nervous system? Go to a fucking Cowboys party and wear a Packers jersey and try not to be nervous. Especially when the Packers are up 14-0.
Oh man!
And everybody's silent and everybody's looking at you like a polygrapher. Don't look at him. Deception, right. Motherfucker. Did you fix the game? Is it your fault? No. Bullshit. You're lying. You know what? And then that's how it is.
Dude, so, here's the under. We're still that's a 49er field goal. They didn't score a touchdown. Oh my God! Is it gonna be 27-24, Kev?
I told you the final score 30-24. Madden script ran field goal to put them up 6, and then the Lions will have a minute 30 left and run a fucking crazy play, get down in the 4th and goal, and then fucking not win, and then it's a fucking gonna be a what do they call that?
God.
What do they call it?
No,
are you ready?
My nervous system can't handle this suspense.
But that's what they're doing, bro. They got the whole thing ready. It's so much. It's like that movie. The last 4 minutes of a movie, bro. It's like we came from the fucking first 10 minutes, and now it's like the end of the movie, and it's like, yes,
that's right.
Tom Cruise really is.
Is Frodo gonna throw the ring in the fire?
Yep.
Wait, it's Gollum. Oh my God. Who's gonna win the fight for the ring? It's that same script every time, yo. The whole team comes marching in. The script to milk whatever emotion they want to get out of you. You hear it from almost every sports fan. Oh, I went and got a new Arizona Diamondbacks hat today. We'll see if they break my heart next year. It's always we'll see if they break my heart.
I've been a fan for 30 years, and it's never going to be a fan of another team. You know diehard fans are because they'll stay with their team even when their star athletes are traded. You know what I mean? Like they grew up with the Denver Broncos because of Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
But now they're like even diehard fans because, I don't know. Or a team completely gets rid of everybody and they become like the worst team, but they still got to represent their like that's their team.
Yeah.
And they're responsible for all the actions that happen.
I think they have a nice little script narrative to maintain fans like that from migrating with the athletes, like you say. They just play on like this nostalgic sort of narrative. And I think a lot of it is color manipulation with the jerseys.
Just like the
they
casino.
can kind of change their perception.
It's just like a slot machine. There's so many colors in the background
right.
noise, in the calmness, and then the holy shit, he fucking dropped it! Oh, and the crowd goes shh.
Like Jerry Rice and Montana are gone.
They're gone.
It's Steve Young, so now we got to add just a little bit of gold, change the jersey just a tiny bit,
just a little,
like just a little bit darker hue of red.
Yeah.
You know, and then accent the black just a little bit more. Then we have this new jersey, and we have Steve Young now, right? With this new fashion. Because the 49er logo, see that? It didn't used to have all those layers on it.
Yeah.
It used to, I think, just be the gold and surrounded by the red or something like that, whatever it was. But
it's still.
I sort of remember when they made those changes. And they do the same thing, like you were saying, especially with the Denver Broncos. Like Troy Aikman's gone. Then they... The jerseys changed, you know. Then it with the Manning, yeah. They did it the same with the Colts, like. And how do you change the Colts jersey? The Colts jersey was like, it was solid fashion. It was simple. The Colts jersey was perfect.
Uh-huh.
I want to say that Colts jersey from like roughly 10 years ago, 5 to 10 years ago, was perfect.
It was
just simple white and blue. Royal blue. I don't know if they had like a little bit of silver in there at any points, but the Niners just...
I'm going to tell you that Carolina Panthers is a pretty mean-looking mascot. The Carolina Panthers.
Oh, the Panthers' colors have always been super sharp. Yeah. When they came into the league, it was like, oh, damn, you guys are like kind of going Los Angeles Kings on us.
Almost. But they had
the Carolina blue.
They had the North Carolina Jordan blue in it.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised Michael Jordan never had a football.
I know. It was like Wayne Gretzky
He's on
Michael
every
Jordan.
uniform, but he's just represented with the blue. Well, hey, you know what? The color of the Super Bowl emblem, it's 2 years in a row they predicted that. This year they did it. Suckers.
Yeah.
They all said Ravens and the Niners because of the Super Bowl flag or the Super Bowl emblem was both last years. They were all the color of the winner.
Yeah.
So this year they got juked. Vegas don't do 3. You think Vegas going to give away free fucking money to everybody?
They caught on, you guys. They're
you
paying
think they're
attention.
just going to be like, hey, you got us figured out. Here's free money.
That's right.
Not a chance, assholes.
Like, dude, they have the color scheme manipulation down to a point that they know what colors to subliminally flash you at the casino to make you spend more money.
It's the same thing.
You don't think they don't have it like this stuff? But yeah, exactly. They just apply it to
and you add advertising too.
That's right.
So the whole thing's a fucking coax to get everybody's attention and or money.
It's unfortunate that the deception is at this level.
And they're very good at manipulating this whole thing with numbers.
But yeah, it's definitely there. This is all...
And I tell you, the algorithms that they can run from this season... They can put every single spread out for the next season, every single fucking player prop. They can just run the whole thing for the next season and figure out how do we get a team that's 10-7 or 10-8 next year and win the Super Bowl.
Right.
Well, here's the whole thing we're going to do. We're going to start them out 0-6. And they're going to be the first team in history that came back and now all of a sudden they're in contention. It's a storyline that they build up. Or they take a team that, hey, this team started in 8, the Philadelphia Eagles, perfect example. Defending in they were in the Super Bowl last year. They started out 9 or 10 and
they were like 10-0.
10-0. Then 10-1.
Insane this year.
10-3, 10-4, 10-5, 10-6, 10-7. And then they were out of the playoffs.
It was just how we described them last year too. It was like
the hype was built. Eagles. But you know what they did? But you know what the Eagles didn't have? Taylor fucking Swift.
Right.
If it would have been Taylor Swift on the Eagles, we're talking a whole nother parallel. But this is where...
Wrong, brother.
This is all coming into fruition. This whole thing has been stirring around. And you know what? Everything's separating itself. And there's nothing anybody can do. Like, it's all just like... We took the puzzle and we pieced it apart. And now it's fucking there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The only thing y'all can do about it is...
We put it back together, we re-tore it apart,
bets.
and fucking figured it out. I saw through the parallels.
Yeah, absolutely.
The Matrix.
We documented all of it, man.
The Matrix is live.
Everybody can go back and piece it all together as we did. We did it really like a nice step-by-step, episode by episode. It's been a very interesting year. we really only have like one more sportscast to do. That's if we cover the Super Bowl, which I don't know. Are you even going to be in town for the Super Bowl?
I don't know.
It's always kind of up to chance if we're doing that.
I'll know by like this weekend because it's 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So they got a whole week they got 2 weeks to narrate this shit with Taylor Swift.
That's right. Set it
and she's going to Tokyo. And you know what? She has to leave Tokyo midnight to get to Vegas by 2 p.m. to get set up.
The memes are in progress, boys. I'm going to be seeing them all over Facebook. Oh, how do you like that, NFL fanboys? You've been complaining about Taylor Swift all year? Oh, yeah, now she's at your Super Bowl. Suck it. Because that's been a big narrative. Like, oh, all these dads, Brads, and Chads are upset that they just keep showing me at the Super Bowl games, you know?
They're like, I'm quit watching football. Liars. Liars.
Like, I don't think anybody's really all that upset about it, but because people were like, it's a controlled narrative, obviously.
And you know what? But another thing is every fucking business, every fucking news network, they all work together. They don't have anything negative to say. If there's aliens in Miami, Florida at a mall, none of them will say there isn't. If Taylor Swift fucking comes out with something, they're all over it. And
if this there's aliens in the vaccines,
Taylor Swift will be in the news, and then they're going to talk about fans outside Vegas, and it's this whole thing is a fucking coax, man. It's a magician show. You know what? I think I would be in trouble at a magician show for giving away his secrets.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, "You like, are you part of our syndicate?"
Yeah, right,
I'll be like, "No, I figured your shit out." They'll be like, "You can't tell nobody." I'm like, "I want $2 million cash. I'll fucking extort them."
Right, Chris Angel, get him.
Motherfucking Chris Angel. I see how I could own him. But that's an example. But it's entertainment, so I wouldn't be like, "Oh, I'm gonna ruin everybody's night." Just like the NFL, they're not gonna. But they gave us a fucking script that worked.
Oh
we
man,
took it. We read it from the end to the beginning. Not 100%, but damn, we was about 80%.
I know.
Pretty much like everything.
I'm not exactly surprised that it's come down to, like I said, the outcome of this game is whether we nailed this one right on the head or not.
Yep. It's
I want to say close enough, but I don't want it to be close enough at the same time. So I am slightly attached to the outcome in that way. I have felt my nervous system kind of like, I want the Niners to win. Not necessarily because of a bias, but it's because, like, dude, when you predict something sort of so on the head, it's kind of like you want the validation a little bit. Like, I think a lot of people can agree with this, that we seek validation as maybe a natural sort of thing. But until you can beat the polygraph, right, Kev?
Yep.
Until you can, what I'm saying is, until you can kind of fix that in your reactions and your thought process.
Yep.
Which it's doable. Interesting. So Detroit turnover here. 7 minutes. I swear to God, I just looked at the clock and there was only 8 minutes left. Or it said 8. But
boy,
now I guess
the Taylor Swift that'll be talked about for the next 2 fucking weeks.
Yep.
It's gonna be everywhere, globally. Fucking Germany, ask your German when you're on the thing. Hey, what's going on with Taylor Swift over in Europe? They're like, people are flying to the Super Bowl because Taylor Swift's going to be there, and they're now Chiefs fans. You know what I mean? And you know what happened?
Yeah.
Guess who went over to Europe during the top six teams that made it into the situation?
Right.
The Chiefs played the Dolphins.
Yeah.
In Germany. And you don't think that they had you think they weren't letting the Chiefs with Taylor? Dude, this whole fucking thing, we knew it from the beginning. And that's why I'm so proud of this.
You can't bring Taylor Swift. Well, like we've been saying,
But
we've been
she
saying
will
it
be
all. You don't
worldwide,
bring
global.
Taylor Swift into the league unless they have a big time plan for
They
it.
have a plan for her globally, and I don't know. You know what? Maybe they're gonna move football into Germany. I don't know.
We've been calling it all season.
And people over in Europe that got kids that love Taylor Swift, and the Germans are probably indecisive. They're like, I don't give a fuck, or I love them.
Our track record for these, some of the things that we've predicted, the synchronicities that we've talked to you guys through during when we've been recording, and the synchronicity actually occurs. Those were kind of the days before we really started revealing that Kev's former NSA and that type of thing. to establish like that what we're talking about is legitimate. Neither of us are shills. Neither of us are being paid to do any of this, or this is all like our legitimately just an organic result of us two having crossed paths and sitting down and talking back and forth and realizing that we're seeing the same patterns, and we can talk for hours and hours and hours about all this stuff that it's like, man, we got to get recording this stuff so like other people can hear it, because we can sit here and talk ourselves blue in the face to each other like, fuck, how long can we do that?
How long can we talk about Taylor Swift?
Yeah.
She's been in every cast for fucking 17 weeks. Actually, she's been in every cast since last Super Bowl. Because at the beginning of the season, I brought her up.
Yeah.
And then week 2, I said, God damn it, she's here.
I got to go back and find out which one it was that she actually made the first appearance.
Yeah, Taylor Swift's first appearance
Yeah.
on the
I suspect
on the
it's
show.
when we were talking about who's the Super Bowl halftime show going to be. Because we were talking about it last year because it was in Arizona, and I think we might have thought about Taylor Swift at some point. You might have mentioned it.
I said Vegas is like, who's the big key singers?
Like Pitbull, we had talked about.
I'm like, nah, that's Miami.
Then, I can't remember exactly, but
I said like Metallica.
that's how it all kind of came to be. Is it's like it was an organic thing. It was an organic thing, and we were like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Which it's no mystery to me that like some of the truths and facts in the world come out when we sit down and collaborate with another highly intelligent person. Like that's been my experience. I've written about in my book, like this crazy shit happened, you guys, that like I can't even verbalize in under 6.5 hours to give you a synopsis of like some of the things that happen and the levels of consciousness that were experienced, the levels of synchronicity and how it all actually works. Like how the patterns all fit and synchronicity actually pops in. Like today was an example of synchronicity was in one of the people's chat that I mentioned earlier, Clutchmeister's chat. I put out a question to one of the other competitive players in the community because he's also streaming, and I was just like, I had the feeling like he was watching, and he responded to my message within like a second. He's like, dude, the millisecond I joined chat, somebody's like addressing me with a question. And I was like, hold on a minute. So this kid is demonstrating, I don't mean to disrespect, call him a kid or anything, but he's like maybe half our age. He's probably like young 20s, right? Smart kid going to University of Arkansas. You can just tell when he's talking and he's processing things, his thought process is intelligent. So it didn't surprise me that it's like, oh, that there's an experience of synchronicity shared with this guy, where it's like I'm thinking of him and just poof, he's in chat right like that. It's like those experiences happen all the time to me, and Kevin and I have certainly captured a lot of those examples on the podcast here. But I just wanted to share that it's that type of pattern, and that guy I could probably sit down and have a conversation with them, or we could have him on the cast here and just ask him about some things, run some ideas by him. A lot of like what we did with Caleb, like, hey Caleb, you're an artist.
Yeah.
If I was to ask you to draw the shadowing on the moon, like how it would be if a sphere was shining light at it, would the shading line up like that, where it's lit up perfectly from edge to edge? And he's like, oh, no, it wouldn't. That's not what we're looking at. And that's all it took for him.
Especially the art, they're wired, their brains.
Yeah,
are wired.
They're wired to perceive things as they actually are, and then they're wired to capture that through a 2-dimensional surface.
That's why like Caleb probably.
Oh, it's a beautiful.
He probably maybe, let's say he can't understand languages. Even if I show him the basics, 50 keywords, maybe he's like, that's too complicated.
It didn't shake his world.
But he can't teach me to draw, no matter how much time and I'd have to like blindfolded and like. There's no way. Impossible.
Yeah, he can't teach you the 50 most common artistic techniques.
But he may see things differently than everybody else.
Right.
You know?
He didn't like freak out or panic at that realization where like, oh yeah, NASA's lying and it's something else going on here. He was just like, oh yeah, he just felt comfortable about it.
Yep. But that's the
Took it in stride.
But that's like how.
Wait, I blinked and this game is over.
Yeah,
I didn't even see the last 4 minutes, and it's like everything's just like over. The Niners are up by 10 points.
Yeah, they didn't show it. They just went to
3 minutes
commercial and
left.
came back, and the score magically was 34. They just put the points on
Oh
there.
yeah, because they scored a touchdown.
Yeah.
Okay, and they chewed. I was gonna say something too, but you were talking about it too, like the time you were mentioned it, and I was gonna say like I'm gonna blink and this game's just gonna be over. Like the next thing I know, like because I did kind of say it. I thought there were 8 points on the board or 8 minutes, and then I looked at it and there were only 7.5. So I was like, what the heck? At that moment, I was like, that's what I was thinking about. That's why I had noticed that. Anyway, just to kind of like capture this, because holy crap, Kev, we just called this whole fucking season, man.
Yeah. And you know what's gonna happen?
Like we didn't even have to watch.
Check this out. This is how the odds might. You know what they're gonna do? The odds makers are gonna smart. This is what they're gonna do. The Chiefs were underdog last week, won outright. They were underdog this week, won outright. They will be an underdog to San Francisco 49ers. The spread will come out San Francisco 49ers minus 1.5. Minus 2.5.
Ooh,
minus 1.5, minus 2.5, and the over-under will be something like 49 and a half. 49 and a half. 49ers, 49. Imagine the over-under 49, motherfucker. Now the conspiracy number guys will be like, well, the over-under's 49, so it's going to land. You know, like this whole facade that's going to happen. Dude. When they already know the final score is going to be 21-17. Something like that. So my prediction, I don't know, man. Everybody with the Chiefs underdog 3 weeks in a row, and now going, or 2 weeks, and now going to the Super Bowl as underdogs. People are going to be like, "There's no way the Chiefs could lose." I would take the Niners in the Super Bowl.
Dude,
we'll see what the official spread is, but I'm telling you right now, they got the numbers already figured. I already know the Chiefs will be an underdog just to put the spice out there.
I've been holding back saying this all game because, I didn't want to get ahead of myself. But like I premised this. The episode with, it was like the NFL has one chess move away from basically admitting that we checkmated them at the beginning of the season.
Yep.
And now I'm like, I'm in a little bit of state of shock.
It took 20 weeks for the truth to expose itself.
I was gonna have a song prepared today called "Here's to Now," but I'll probably do it next time because I didn't want to have it preemptively again. But because it's been a while since I've learned a song and played it for everybody, so to wrap up the season, I figure I'll learn one quick, and then I'll start moving towards the. We're gonna do the face reveal and start doing some more videos, but just on other stuff.
We got
besides the NFL,
trenches of this season.
Jesus criminy, man! To come off of like, hey. What do you guys think? What's your take on the NFL this year? Oh, we'll give you our take. We'll give you hours worth of our take. And all of it's going to come true? Oh. I mean, I knew we were on a roll with last season. Like, the snowball started rolling. We started this whole thing. We did a bunch of episodes that weren't just football. Then we started a Sportscast because we were like, all right, now we need to, like, sort out what we're actually doing here, and let's get in where we fit in. And to come into the second season and have fucking nailed it. Just here's the entire chessboard. Here's where almost all the pieces are gonna be, but here's where these ones are gonna exactly end up. Is what you're gonna end up with. Oh yeah. Taylor Swift is going to be there before she even made any announcement before anybody even knew about this whole thing.
We said, why is she there? Like, what? And then we said, we got to figure out what the ploy is in the NFL, and that's how it just, like, we fucking pieced it all together week 3.
We might be the only people in the world that predicted this besides the ones that had the script.
Yeah.
So that's pretty fucking impressive, especially to a Taylor Swift level.
But see, people be like, well, I figured that out last week. Well, no shit, you
Oh,
did
yeah.
last week because everybody else caught on to it.
We
They're
figured
like,
it
well,
out
that makes sense.
last year.
Last year.
Guys, last year.
360 days ago.
Now all the final like domino is that the 49ers win the Super Bowl because 4 + 9 = 13. And Taylor Swift's number is 13. So the Chiefs can't win.
And then Kelsey doesn't have a reason to propose to Taylor.
Right.
Or the Chiefs win and he proposes.
Yeah,
so
see, I don't
either
know.
way, they can flip
See, that's a
either
little
way.
cringe, isn't it? It's
No.
a little cringy,
But
for
it's-
the NFL.
But that would be the Disneyland. See, Disney's bought out also with NFL.
It'll be like off season.
See, you know what? ESPN is coordinated with Disney. So why not just have this animated fairy tale fairy tale, and Taylor Swift has a song about a fairy tale. And it's
Hey.
like all of her shit is going to be
They should have an
incorporated.
animated Taylor Swift movie.
Yeah.
They need to animate the Eras Tour concert. That's a fantastic idea. Get
But
on it, Swifties.
you could create an animated show that would piece 5-year-olds at this point, 6-year-olds,
Yeah.
and teach them about, hey, this is Taylor's Magic Man. He's a professional, so go be a professional football player if you want to be the fucking king of the world.
Dude, as long
And this
as you
is
have,
this is Taylor's army, and look at all the people following her. Now you got to be like Taylor. All this narrative shit that they come animate. Now the reality shows, and they got a whole script on this to
Oh
flip
man,
it.
I haven't jumped into the anime community.
I'm telling you, they're directing this whole young, and DraftKings might even be involved for the age 10 to 12 bracket, and they'll recognize, oh, I know DraftKings.
Right.
In a scenario where somebody's betting on the fucking.
They'll somehow pander to the coloring. It is. Gosh, there's so much color manipulation.
Way too much color. The fucking one was the colors were revealing the Super Bowl, the fucking matchup.
Everybody was taking like Chiefs Ravens or something like
No,
that.
Ravens Niners.
Ravens Niners, okay.
Ravens Niners was the
Yeah.
pick of the matchup,
Yeah.
and you could bet on that and probably get like 4-1 on your money a week ago.
Okay.
If you pick these matchups correctly, I mean, this one was underdog, which was the Chiefs, and a favorite, the Niners, that won. So they what Vegas did good on this, there's more money bet on Baltimore Ravens, just in volume, but there was more money bet on the Ravens. So they double dipped in this bitch. Well, actually, yep, they covered this. Well, if they score here, they won't cover the spread. Oh, could this be a scripted shit here? Flipped? Let's see.
Oh, I see. I wasn't even thinking about spread or anything
7
like
was a
that, my
spread.
man.
7
What I'm
half.
thinking about right now is like the game's over because they're just gonna run a bunch of time off the clock here. That all San Francisco has to do is recover a punt, an onside punt.
Oh, it's third
I
quarter.
mean, we could see the Lions score a touchdown, recover an
And not
onside
cover the
punt,
spread.
and
the
then kick a
Niners would
field
not cover
goal.
the spread. So Vegas got both fucking parties today.
What
And
was the
matchups.
spread? What was it? You said 7?
7.
Oh.
See what I mean? Cover the spread.
So
but lose
if
the
the
game.
yeah, see, if I'd have been thinking about
See, if
that,
you have the money right now, you're on Niners.
we could have.
If you have money, you have Niners -7, and
They'll
they
score
cover.
on 3rd or 4th and goal. They'll score on this one.
Or they kick a field goal to fucking land it right on the spread. And
Yeah.
then kick offside kick.
Yeah, just to push it.
There's 2 timeouts.
Either push the spread or yeah.
Or
yeah.
or let the Lions cover the spread.
Oh, very interesting. I wasn't thinking about
See
the
what I
spread.
mean?
I
If
was
you're a
I was
gambler-
in shock. I took.
If you're a gambler, you're
Wasn't
freaking out
shocked
with the
just
ticket
from-
right now because it could go either way. If imagine the sports books, they're fucking silent right now because everybody doesn't know what the fuck's gonna happen. Either they're
Yeah.
gonna feel like they're gonna either land on the spread, but if you have Niners, man, scary. I'm telling you, this shit is scary for
Yeah.
gamblers.
Sorry, everybody. I'm like, my mind is reflecting. Like it's reeling right now.
There's too many numbers.
It's
58.
reeling. It's like just having won a tournament right now. Like I feel like we won this season. Like Buff Brain versus the NFL. Buff Brain came out on top, baby. That's 2-0.
See how the spread just got covered?
Yep, spread just got covered. I told you they're gonna score on the next fucking play. Like what you were saying, nope, spreads. They're gonna get 2 of them. And I was like, oh, okay, yep, there it is.
But now they lost because there's more people.
Do they
that-
go for 2? No, they have to. No, they don't go. No, they kick the extra point,
Yeah.
and then they do an onside kick, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And then game will be over.
Then game will be over. We'll see.
Because they'll throw a flag no matter what happens. So like, fellas, the game's over.
Like, let's
throw flags if the onside kick is recovered. You know, everybody hold your ground,
Oh
and
my
then they can have
God.
a reason to throw a flag, or if Niners recover, game over.
Like, I don't want to see overtime at all.
I don't either. I don't want anything jinxing.
My autonomic nervous system can't take it anymore.
But now, if somehow this thing flipped its head upside down in the last minute, they did a very good job at fucking this whole thing up. We're all happy and shit, and all of a sudden, next thing you know, we get fucking. We're like, bro, that last 2 minutes changed the entire fucking scenario.
Right? Yeah.
But that's how quick it went.
Yeah. Why? It's possible.
Remember when the Lions are up 24 to fucking.
But this
7?
is how they do it too. It's like they don't even want like San Francisco fans right now. They don't want them like reveling. They don't want them comfortable. Like they still on the doorsteps of fear, knocking at their fucking door. It's at that fight, flight, or freeze, and they're like between freeze and fighting right now.
Fuck.
Well, here we go.
Come
Here's
on
the
now.
onside kick. I mean, ice it all over.
See, Taylor's already fucking making her presence down.
Oh yeah.
Damn. Look at him. Just.
Yeah, I think they'll just close it off here. The Niners will recover the kick and they'll just take a knee.
Yeah, and then the spread's covered, the over's covered.
Yeah.
Vegas.
They've milked enough.
Vegas gave some back on the Lions.
That's right. That's right. Well,
see how they can manipulate it.
I was
And who knows? Maybe there was more money on one side. I don't know what the numbers were.
I was watching Jimmy.
Everybody was
Axel
saying it was a
talk about
50-50 split.
He was saying that there was like if you were to, for example, it's like 750 odds on the Lions to win the Super Bowl. Like if you had $1,000 or $100,000, you'd win
8,000. You think Vegas is going to give just free money away? They don't give away free money. They make it look like it's free money.
Right. It was like, man, it's just those odds, that money, this hanging over, like nobody. They're not going to dangle that much cash over it for some lucky punter.
Especially if you're a diehard Lions fan, you're like,
how many guys are
like,
going to go put $100? Yeah,
each.
let's put in $100.
Oh, you think the next thing you know, Vegas is going to pay $800,000 to a fucking bunch of fanboys
to a
in
bunch
Detroit?
of right?
Not a fucking
bullshit.
chance.
They're not even going to give you the.
They're
option.
not even going to give you. They're going to give you a taste of it with them just appearing, but they ain't going.
Right, a taste of it, right? Give them the idea, and then they'll collect what they can off that, and then they'll collect because they weren't going to give. They just weren't going to bait people in because they can make way more money off the Niners being there than trying to bait people in to win this fucking lucky 750 pot against the Chiefs, right?
Yeah,
Plus
the narrative didn't make sense without Taylor. It just did not make sense.
And then this flag just like drawing it out even more. Like, just get it over with.
That's the game. Take a look here. So obviously the rule is it has to go 10 yards before it's touched by the kicking team.
Oh. So Niners are pretty much in the clear. However way this goes.
This week, I'm going back to it because I think it's so important. Give a little wave to the camera. We've never
Wow.
Yep.
Number 13, a penalty on number 13 at the end of the game. Wow, this has just been all really interesting, slightly shocking to see that it all actually played out
24-7 at half.
exactly how we said it
lost. Like I was pretty impressed. There's just no way that the Lions were.
Wow.
They gave a taste of it though. God, Detroit, y'all came so far. They were a team that was 0-16 fucking 5 years ago, and now they're whatever. Eminemville.
Yeah. Dude.
Real Slim Shady.
Did we really just see everything that we just saw? Fucking A. Wow. Wow. Yeah, I mean, this last minute has taken longer than it did for the clock to go from 8 minutes to 3.
And no Taylor Swift or Travis Kelce commercials.
Yeah, I haven't seen. I saw one State Farm one, but that was Mahomes.
My homies.
It's Patrick Mahomes. He's my homie.
Look at all that completion, 240 yards. Damn.
Well, you know what they say.
Harbaugh's brother just won the national championship. Jim Harbaugh. His brother coaches for the Baltimore Ravens. Ravens are out, obviously, but that was the other script, was because his brother won the national college football championship. His brother, because the Baltimore Ravens played the Niners in a Super Bowl, whatever, 6-7 years ago, or 8-10 years ago, and they were brothers. Baltimore Raven coach, Niners coach, Harbaugh's.
Oh, okay, yeah, I faintly remember that.
They were trying to incorporate all this, like, well, his brother just won national championship, so they're going to give him the Super Bowl, obviously. But we saw that didn't work.
Wow. That's the fucking show, boys and girls. That is the show. Chiefs, Niners, Super Bowl.
The Swift Bowl.
I'm having a little deja vu, but
San Francisco Swift Bowl.
Holy crap. It actually happened. Yeah, baby! Woo, woo, woo! 4-9 represent, big 1-3! Look at that, too. Oh, my God. 31-34, everybody. Wow. Wow. Well, you heard it here first, and that's a fucking fact. Nobody except for the script holders had Chiefs Niners picked, and if they did, they are a big brain motherfucker.
Mm-hmm.
I should have said buff brain motherfucker. Oh my God, Kev. Well, I mean, like, nice job, dude. Like, good call, buddy. I'm glad I was here to, like, bring that into fruition with you, because holy shit.
Fun, isn't
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Damn.
Wow, indeed. Very impressive. Very impressive. Even the Detroit Lions fans were clapping and cheering at the end there. That was kind of sweet. But while crying.
Man, what 2 weeks gotta deal with this.
Yeah.
See all the hats already made?
Yeah, hat's already made. Yep. They just threw it right on.
Unbelievable.
They've been doing that for a while. I wonder how long they've been doing that.
I don't know. You gotta figure they gotta have enough
I think
for people.
the story we always heard was that the team that didn't win, they would just export those
Yeah.
jerseys. They would just give them away to like third world countries.
Mhm.
So there's like a bunch of gear out there that you can find that like say that the Chicago Bulls didn't win all those championships and shit. Like, I don't actually know if I believe that story. I think it just might be one of those coincidental stories. Like, let's just give these to third world countries. Like, yeah, fucking right. that would still be worth money to somebody because they'd wear it just to piss their buddies off, and they'd spend fucking $1,000 on it just to piss off every one of their buddies who was like, you know.
But if
you
you're
guys can think of a situation.
if you're the official NFL apparel company, are you really going to want to? Well, you could probably write it off on taxes, but how many are you really going to make? Are you going to make 50,000 of
Enough
them
for
on
the
one
whole
side
team?
and 50,000 on the other for everybody in the stands?
Right, like you got to do the whole team at least. So how many hats is that? 30 at least?
Well, you got to remember there's 51 players on a team.
But I'm sure they got the shirts
52.
afterwards.
Yeah. So I don't know how much of that would be scripted, but
Right?
if you're talking money and just giving away shit,
Like, who do we got to get in with on the distribution centers
that's one thing I wish I
and
would.
textile industry?
I wish I would have been into.
Because that's where we would get our tips.
I could ask those questions in
That's
Thailand.
where the fucking mob would get their tips. They were like, we don't even need the script. We're the ones making the fucking jersey. Or the
You find out the old lady that's been at a sewing place, and she's known. Oh, she's like, I know the Super Bowl before.
yeah, she's ordering the colors for the yarn that's for the
She
stitching,
knows,
right?
And they probably got her on the payroll.
Yeah, they got the
Don't you
stencils
tell
in.
nobody
They
this
gotta put
information.
the stencil into the program, the software before they create them. So
And then,
there's plenty of people that are in
When
on it before it
I
happens.
that's one thing that if I go back to Thailand to whatever on vacation, that would be like the questions that I would ask. I'm like, I'd be like, I want the truth, and I'd be like, I want to talk to the people that work in the factory that make these shit. Like, are you guys all
It's
making
some
this stuff over
custom
here, and
shop.
then you're sending half of it?
It's some custom shop dude that makes these things.
It's
That they're
gotta be
like
run by
they're
the
on the
NFL.
down low,
Gotta be run
and it's
by
a
the
money
NFL.
laundering thing, and it's run by one of these families that
gotta be.
takes care of it. So everybody that actually works there is like part of the family.
Like,
We could call them the Sony family.
call them Sony, people jumping off the buildings.
That's technically not. We should probably get like a different name for like. Well, I don't want to go into that subject. It's so layered. There's just so many layers of like different societies and beings that might exist
Yes, sir.
that influence the world. And how the fuck are we gonna capture all of that and prove it? We can't.
Can't. I can prove that what we've said is it's the facts, not the truth.
That's right, dude.
Fucking me, it's
Wow.
what it is. Well, that's the season in the book.
That's incredible.
That's it. What a season it was.
I
What a
don't know if
season
I'm gonna
it
be
was.
able to sleep tonight. I'm so fucking excited.
I know. God, people are gonna
We
be
get
so
to see
excited.
Taylor Swift at the Super Bowl.
Yes.
I mean, what kind of like?
Usher's performing at halftime.
Oh man. See, most people might think Taylor Swift is an omen, but she was sort of a good luck charm in this way. We used something bad and turned it into good, Kev, just because we could see the patterns being used.
And the only reason why I'm going to give credit to her in this whole thing is because
Her script.
we spent all that time to realize, or we spent all this time to fucking find out it was the
Sure.
Lions and the fucking Ravens. in the
Yeah,
Super Bowl?
right. I would have been like that.
Like they're gonna put Eminem.
Bullshit.
They're gonna show Eminem. No, Taylor Swift is gonna be on. They're gonna be showing her airplane flying, landing in Vegas, and it's gonna be a fake airplane. And like, she flew from 6 hours to Tokyo with military support. The president was over in wherever, and she caught a flight back with him. You know what? Who the fuck knows? Maybe she's taking Elon Musk shuttle, going up to space and coming back down.
It looks like a parking garage on the outside.
Yeah.
Not?
It does.
Or is it?
I don't know.
But it does look like that. Like it's not just me.
No.
Okay. All right. Y'all. Kev verified it earlier because we had stepped away for a moment. I was like, the stadium. Look at that. Oh, that's cool. But it looks like a parking garage.
Yeah.
Okay. So he sees the same.
Shit.
All right.
So that's where it is. So
Oh, let's hear this guy.
serious.
Let's give this guy some. Because he's in. Oh, it's Joe Montana.
Well, there you go.
Hey, man, he looks better than Troy Aikman. He looks like he's actually old.
Yeah, he'd be great commentator.
Doesn't he?
Yeah.
I look at that guy and I think that might actually be Joe.
Unless he doesn't say anything, we can't confirm his voice.
Oh, that's the CEO. Oh, they didn't have Joe say anything.
Maybe that's not him.
Yeah, maybe not.
Does it look like he got a mask on?
I mean, yeah, it's debatable.
Could be. I don't know. He didn't speak though.
Those things would be really...
Usually they speak, you gotta have the voice activation to speak it, like some Mission Impossible shit.
Yeah.
Voice. Well, there. No, that's not him. Like, it looked like a younger
I
version of him.
think the voice activation is one of the more impressive things that they pull off. Okay. Who's that? Coach?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is that Purdy's sister in the background?
One of his sisters. They're going to put Purdy Boy's poster child against Mahomes.
Yeah.
You know what? There's going to be a lot of Purdy commercials coming out by some sponsorship will buy him up.
Yep.
I don't know who.
Dude, 49ers Chiefs, it checked all of the necessary stuff. Like, all of the things checked out. Every angle about it was like,
Yep.
this is just obviously the matchup that they would want for max
I
revenue.
told you, California and Vegas and gambling,
yeah.
and it's all. I'm telling you, Detroit fans were not booking flights and staying. They fucking Niner fans were all on hold at the Venetian.
Right.
Oh, by the way, it's $349 for the room, but you got to stay for 3 days. Oh shit! Then it's only $150. You see how they get you? It's all part of the ploy, man. There's more 49ers fans than are Raiders fans. For real.
Yeah.
And they will go to Vegas. And they will spend.
Oh, yeah.
They will gamble.
Yeah. The dude talking was in the Underdogs movie with Snoop Dogg.
Oh, hey, how about that?
It was because Snoop Dogg got a job on ESPN, and then he walks off set, and that guy's on there. It's really small part, but I'm I just saw this guy. Who's he secretly thanking here, Kev? Right?
He's thanking Roger Goodell
You heard that code.
for giving me
I'm so glad to be a part of
championship.
this organization. He's not talking about the fucking 49ers. He's talking about the insiders, everybody in the NFL.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity
He's
to
thanking-
fulfill the script with Taylor Swift.
Exactly.
Oh, and then they got George Kittle, who's going against Travis Kelce in the Super Bowl.
This might
the
be-
the two tight ends that are the poster childs of the NFL, and the two quarterbacks. Purdy, Lazy Purdy, because he's a fucking cute guy. The girls love him. And then you got the Swifties. So Swifty says, I give you permission to like Purdy because my boyfriend is mine, and you don't want to be my. He's married, so go Purdy.
Yeah.
Tell you, see this derivative that's happening? And Niners fans and Taylor Swift fans are all like, we love everybody.
Yeah.
We just want to see Taylor.
Right.
But my
I'm just here to
Purdy.
see Taylor.
So you see how it all worked?
I'm just here to see Taylor. I hope both teams win.
Like, remember how in Japan, they clap for both teams?
Yeah.
Same thing. Swifties don't give a fuck.
Exactly, don't care.
They don't care if the Chiefs lose as long as Taylor and Kelsey go on and create anime
She'll
show.
be there for him if he
for
loses.
their kids.
And
they have some kids.
It'll be a win-win.
And then they have
dude.
stay at home with fucking Travis.
Oh my God.
At home with TC. Or TK, Travis Kelce.
This is
And his brother also just retired. So.
Holy shit.
Now, what would have happened if Detroit would have won that? Do you think they would be doing this whole after celebration for the Detroit Lions? Not a fucking chance. There's no Detroit Lions fans there. Like I said, if they're not coming to fucking Niners, they're not going to come to San Fran. They're not going to Vegas.
Dude, I don't think that they would have brought up the Eminem narrative if the Lions were actually going to be at the Super Bowl. I feel like that was just like...
I think it was a ploy to give everybody that...
ploy.
And you bring Eminem,
everybody talking.
Eminem says, hey, we're going to win for Detroit City. Everybody bet on him.
Because
Eminem gets
know.
a piece of the action because they covered, but they lost.
The NFL is not stupid. Like, they know that people are catching on to the script. They fucking know it.
Yeah.
So they're throwing bones and little...
And you know what?
It's the same pattern as we've
And
said
you know
this before.
what?
It's the same pattern
And you know
as
what's
see everywhere
interesting?
else.
The people in the last, up to probably week 6, that are like, I'm done watching NFL. Fuck Taylor Swift. Well, good luck not watching the Super Bowl because they're gonna watch the Super Bowl regardless of Taylor Swift or
That's
not.
what I was going to say. It's going to be the most watched Super
Watch
Bowl
Super
in
Bowl of all
history.
time, most bet on.
It'll
California
be the most
coming
watched,
in.
most bet on.
It's going to be the home field advantage of the Chiefs. That's why the spread's going to be whatever.
And next year probably won't be.
What's that?
Next year probably won't be.
Won't be what?
Won't be the most watched.
No.
most bet
You
on.
can't know Taylor Swift.
But it'll
This
probably
year is
be
the
this
biggest.
year.
And to bring the gambling and the free betting and all the shit and advertising, it was a year to expose people to, hey,
That's
this
right.
is like WWE,
Pepper
but
'em
it's
up.
acceptable.
Prime the paint, baby. Primed for paint.
That's why people think the player props are a way to go. Fuck that. If you're
Called
gonna do
it
the player
all
props, here's the
season
thing.
long,
In a-
man.
player props, if you're gonna take an over passing yards in a player prop, you better take the over under. Because if they have the score set to end 10-0, your player prop is fucked. You know what I mean? Like the over under. The more overs you take, the higher the score should be, especially from the quarterback perception. So anyway, this whole thing is coaxed. And there's that Super Bowl flashback, Chiefs and Niners, and the Chiefs had won that one. Now it's Niners redemption.
Oh,
for this
geez.
one.
Look, same day. 3 U.S. troops killed in drone attack in Jordan. I don't know if you heard about that yet.
Back at war.
I just heard about it
Yeah,
on
drones
that
going
television right there.
in. Fucking.
It happened because it's on that television, everybody.
Yeah.
Tell your neighbors, tell your friends, educate everybody. It happened because it was on the television.
Yeah.
That means it's definitely true. They got a picture of it right there.
Got it. And
Clear.
so you know what I'm talking about? Like
They
the,
showed us a fucking rocket being launched and told us it was a drone attack. What the fuck, dude?
yeah.
Okay.
And see how narrative are twisted. Every network
Just-
is doing this, but in other countries, they're like blaming America for all this shit.
Calling
Like,
to hit Iran. Hit them hard now. What are you talking about,
see,
man?
Twitter's
They always want. It's always this fucking Iran thing.
always crisis in the Middle East. I've heard it for
Just they
fucking.
never stop with this
I've heard,
shit.
I've
It's
heard the
always
word
same
I've heard
pattern.
crisis in the Middle East for 20-some years. So of course, there's a crisis in the Middle East. There's always a crisis.
Yeah, jeez.
It's always
They
a
don't have
crisis.
shit to talk
in the
about
Middle
if they're not
East.
fabricating crisis.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
people
there-
are catching on to that too.
There you have it. The news, man. It's borderline.
Well, once
it's
they
the
can
control-
comprehend 20,000 people at NASA, 20,000 people in the NFL, all fucking lying to them, 20,000 people in the healthcare industry.
Yeah.
I mean, how many did it take in the healthcare industry around the world
Yep. Flat
to pull off COVID?
Cool.
To get everybody in on that fucking narrative? I mean, you telling me that took like under 10,000 people? Bull fucking shit. It took at least like 200,000 doctors
At least.
in America alone. And a lot of them, I mean, you know, a lot of this is actually like a lot of those doctors are actually useful idiots. They actually fucking believe it.
You ask your. See, that's the thing. I haven't been.
People
I
are
haven't.
armed.
I haven't been in a country where I can find out that COVID stuff because, you know, I wasn't around. COVID happened after, obviously, I was done traveling the world. But
Yeah.
I know now that looking back, if I was over there, I'd probably get a different perspective just on the COVID alone because I'd find out, oh, they've reported how many German citizens got the vaccine. I find out there's nobody over here, you
Nobody got
motherfuckers.
it. They were all
Or the
like,
contrary
fuck
is
you.
everybody's been vaccinated, but they report only 10% of Germany. So I don't know. You
Yeah.
have to ask your contact in Germany, be like, hey,
Right.
tell me about the COVID crisis.
Yeah.
Did you guys just be like, go fuck yourself?
vaxxed up?
Or did the
Triple
company?
vaxxed?
Yeah, they're like, did you get your fourth vax?
Does it enhance your gaming?
I don't know, but that's a question for the global world.
Yeah, it is. Like, what was it actually? What did you guys actually experience?
Yeah.
Because a lot of
Because
people
they're
think that we
government.
all locked down and had to wear masks everywhere, and it was like, really, you could actually get your way in there if you just refused and fucking gave them a hard time. You could still get in a lot of places.
But see, I don't think
Some places
socialist
won't.
countries mandate that type of stuff for some reason. They do in certain.
Yeah, that's a good
babies get
question.
certain
Like,
shots,
you have
obviously.
free
But
healthcare,
when
but
you come up
is
with a
anything
baby
mandatory?
vaccine, just
Yeah.
I don't know how that
That's a good
works.
question.
I'd have to find out.
That's a
'cause
fantastic question, really,
Yeah.
around vaccines.
Socialists
I'm
will
not
be
sure
like,
what
we
it
don't.
is
You can do what the fuck
about
you
that.
want from a socialist country, but like our country's divided left and right. It's especially when you're dealing with everybody was like you eat. And that's the thing. Could you get on a plane from Germany to fly to wherever without a COVID vaccine shot? You couldn't get out of the United. You
Yeah,
couldn't get
that's
past the
something,
second page
right?
of booking an airline
Yeah.
before it popped. This big box popped up and
Right.
says,
You don't
"Have
even-
you been vaccinated?" Click yes or no to proceed to the next page.
I'm still apprehensive about travel, man.
But that's the thing is like what was mandated. I know that to leave from the United States to go overseas, it was mandated to have a vaccine shot. But let's say you go to Germany and nobody is vaccinated.
That's
So
a
what's the point
drive.
of all this?
And that is one thing that COVID did fuck for me is airline flying. Like, I don't want to fly anywhere now.
Just it was
I just
one of
don't
those-
want to even be on the fucking plane.
Yeah, and plus these fucking they're having these
Anywhere I can't drive my ass back
What-
from, I'm like,
what
I don't
the,
know, dude. You guys might announce next fucking day, oh, COVID 29.0 pops off and you want me to stay now in some fucking foreign country
Uh-huh.
or some shit. Like,
Yeah.
you just up and leave. Like, it kind of freaks me
Like, you
out. Or
can't-
like I'm states away.
like
and
you
I don't
can't
know.
come back to the
I don't
United
know.
States and
I
like
don't
you're in a
like it.
country that doesn't offer the
Yeah.
vaccine or
Yeah.
like you gotta like get it mailed to
What?
you.
Or they're trying to tell
They
you
gotta-
that you have to
you gotta
take
get a
one now
test
to
mailed to
get
you.
back, and you're like, what the fuck? Dude, I would have been so mad. Like, I bet that happened to people too.
I'm sure, man. I'm sure people got held up like a queue.
And
when
then they
the
just
country
took
goes,
it to like not deal with the hassle,
Yeah.
right? Like they just autonomic nervous system. They're just like, I'm presented with a problem, and I'm now being forced with being imprisoned somewhere away from home.
But
and
you
all
see
I'm trying
how
to do
it-
is get home,
do
and
you
they
see
force, peer
how-
pressure just.
how the freedom in other countries where you have no privacy, but you don't have to put something chemical in your body because the government mandates it. In America, you don't have the right on some of those. Like if you're in the medical
Right.
field, you lose your license.
That's what I gotta ask
Now-
about that. I'm
yeah,
interested
and
to
then
know
and then
specifically.
so you
about
think
the
about different
medical-
countries where you have like some people are like, well, I'll just leave America. And
John
go,
Cena.
You know,
I
oh, he's back. But his DraftKings commercial. I think.
don't know what it was, but I was like, fuck yeah. John Cena for president.
You know,
I would, yeah, that'd be awesome.
I think The Rock. I think The Rock's cooking up something for
Probably
for
some
government.
sort of governor or
Gotta be-
Senate
I
type of
think
thing.
he's
They're
gonna
not
be
gonna.
involved in something.
Yeah.
Something's up with him.
He-
He's
following
liked.
in
He's liked
Arnold's
by a lot of
footsteps.
people too. They love
Yeah,
him.
he's like the current day Arnold Schwarzenegger for some people.
Perfect. You know how things repeat in time? Yeah, well, let's put another
Same
big
pattern,
bodybuilder,
right.
same guy, Arnold,
Yeah.
but we're gonna eat The Rock and everybody. And Arnold was a big actor worldwide.
Right.
Rock's bigger because he's with WWE
Yeah,
and
yeah.
acting. He's worldwide, so he's like a Taylor Swift of the political movement. If he really wanted to pull the trigger, he'd be on the ballot and be, you know. I think in 4 more years there'll be some sort of Dave Portnoy will be in like 20 years down the road. Some
I
sort of
see Dave Portnoy.
Dave Portnoy got
stuff
Trump on
getting
speed dial, so you don't think that
advertised
Trump
on
let
Rumble.
some say like, yeah, Dave, we're gonna put you in presidency in
Yeah.
year 2034. Be ready, and here's your 4 years of preparation, and
Yeah.
here's how you got to sway to your side. And we got Swifties involved. We got this young generation of voting. I mean, the whole thing's coaxed, and it's doomed for the future that doesn't see it from a different perspective and just sits there and like, well, that's just how it's always perceived. I was always told, well, perception is always truth, and I always went down. You know what? It doesn't. It's not. And
On my Rumble account, I am not subscribed to anybody, but I get notifications from. It's usually when Donald Trump goes live, I'll get a notification. But the only other one I get is when Dave Portnoy goes live. So it's like, whoa.
yeah, something's up with him.
Yeah, it's like they're already treating him like a politician, but giving him the political treatment. Like, why?
And Dave Portnoy.
Why Dave
you know,
Portnoy? Like, why not
Barstool
anybody
Sports.
else is going
Oh,
live?
one vote, everybody knows the rules will be his slogan.
Yeah.
Make America, keep America great, yet again, and you got Donald Trump back in. You got all these young I'm telling you, the Republicans are going to drive the next generation of motherfucking. It's going to be one of those. And then the other thing, you saw what three people died, or three soldiers.
Yeah.
Right. What's going to happen in this next few months? And this is just from how the pattern thing. Joe Biden is going to go out in such a bad fashion. Not only the withdrawal of Afghanistan was a complete disaster, it was absolutely
bunch of family corruption and crime.
And then
in China is going to come
this
out.
whole thing's getting out of control.
We're going to be talking
and whether
about
they
it.
keep reporting all this shit, but it's going to build up. And next thing you know, we're going to have like 1,000 soldiers dead because of this shit that's going on. Whether those numbers will be accurate or not, or it even happens, or maybe it just gets out of hand.
Yeah.
It's a leverage that's all going to be for this whole way move. This Joe,
They're
this
gonna play that narrative.
And you know what? The same thing happened was when
trumpets.
When Bill Clinton and in his presidency was ending the Gulf War. Joe Biden ended the Afghan war, but fucking immediately started the shit, or not him. This whole thing started another. It should have been a 4-year break, meaning we got Afghanistan peacefully. We have a break for 4 years. No, this thing started right the fuck back up. Mm-hmm. So with history going back, we're just gonna have some shit that is gonna reflect on how bad. And Joe Biden, he's the puppet guy. He's just, and I'm not gonna disrespect the president. I always say I gotta respect the rank and what he did, but I don't have to respect the person per se. How that the president will maybe a little different just because he's told and he's old and
in an ideal world, but it's like we're not dealing with an ideal world, so it's almost like you're not really disrespecting somebody who's wearing a mask.
And can't find his way off the stage, and it's like this guy, I don't know what.
Yeah, it's like, come on, if that was really what was happening, like they would be replacing the president with somebody else because they wouldn't want to show that weakness to other countries.
And then the other thing
that legitimate, because then other countries would be like, look, we'll overwhelm this guy. We'll put a decision on his plate that he's not even going to be able to make. So
it's
no,
it's a
all little
slippery
fugazi.
slope. But yeah, it's man,
it's like they're not going to leave a field goal up to a kicker in the NFL worth $300 million in Vegas. They're not going to leave that up to a field goal kicker. Just like they're not going to leave it up to a dusty bag in a suit going up and giving a speech about the state of a nation. They're going to put some fucking robot-driven person in a mask that goes out there with a voice alternator that gives a goddamn speech that's connected to a fucking supercomputer. It's some shit like that. Like, Kevin made a really good, outstanding point one time recently where about how a lot of these NFL players and the even announcers, they never stumble on their words. They never have any sort of lisp when their mouth gets dry a little bit. Mm-hmm. Or like we saw at the end of the football game where they're on the stage, the CEO was getting up there and he's like, oh, wait a minute, I'm trying to say this, where he stumbles with his words a little bit because, like where even I said earlier, like all this stuff in my thoughts go perfectly, but when I actually have to put them into words, it's like, oh my God, my tongue hasn't even done those exercises in this amount of time. So people misspeak, but what we're never seeing them misspeak. Even the interviewed sort of not very smart NFL player these days that's like not, you don't even know who they are, but they had a good game. It's like Tyrone Hill or whatever the fuck his name is. You don't even know, right?
Tyreek.
And they go out there and then they give an interview. They stare at one spot on the ground because they've been trained to control their autonomic nervous system, use those little tricks, but their speech is flawless.
Yeah.
It's like normally, I don't know if any of you have ever been to college and taken a speech class.
Yeah.
Like, even the best speech giver does not give the entire speech without like some sort of humanistic mistake.
Yeah. Another good example of that is WWE wrestlers. They come off these big fucking animals and they speak, and you either have the really intelligent side of the speaking in an interview or you just have the dumb, but they come out with these words that are like articulate, and I'm like, somebody fucking got
Told you
somebody's
something.
giving the good guy these words that are like represent a power.
Right? Like, where did you
And this
hear
other
that?
fucking guy is like has to. And maybe this guy could be the smart fucking guy, but he's got to train himself to talk like a whatever. So,
Right.
but these guys are impromptu on the spotlight. But they got people like, you know what? I remember in speech, like you were saying, I remember somebody that was doing a speech and they got so nervous during the speech they like pissed their pants and they were like, they were really nervous, so they had to like go through all this training to try to figure out how to like people would rather die than public speak.
See, I was gonna
Like
say,
there's these people that would rather die than public speak about their family. Just get up and tell us about your family.
Yeah.
They are fucking. But if you got athletes
They
that aren't
freeze.
trained, they're just like I
the
gotta
fight, flight, freeze, and then I was gonna say, or cooperate.
yeah.
But we could sub-cooperate with piss your pants.
Yeah, I'll never forget that, and it was like that's how terrifying that people have this subconscious like insecurity.
Oh,
about,
yeah.
I'm worried about what everybody else says, but you know what? These star athletes and these guys too. Like,
Speaking of the star athletes in WWE,
Oh, yeah,
did
right
you
there.
did you hear anything about this Vince McMahon suit?
I honestly don't know much about it. You know what? First thing I'm thinking when I saw sex trafficking, I'm like, he was part of the
Oh, is that what it
I
is?
think he's part of the Epstein thing, but he's put it on former employees to get out of it. Like he's maybe on the list for the Epstein thing, and like they got to come up with a storyline. We got to fire Vince McMahon and put somebody else in leadership role. And then what we're going to do is we're going to bring gambling into WWE. I don't know, maybe 6 months with the WrestleMania or whatever that event comes around. And now they're getting Vince because people don't like Vince McMahon. The guy's just a fucking weird dude.
Yeah.
Like he wanted to take 51% ownership of the NFL back before the WWE trade, because WWE was worth 10x what NFL was bringing in revenue just on wrestling, and that was in the States. And then they added global. They are all over the world. WWE is a big fucking deal.
I kind of forgot about that.
So Vince McMahon wanted to but when they found out Vince McMahon wanted to be NFL, they're like, no fucking way. You put his name, now they're gonna know it's rigged.
Yeah.
So you see what I'm saying? Like they probably
That's
gave
too
Vince
much
McMahon some like
association.
hush money, and they came out with this. I don't know what the scandal is. It's one of those. Like I said, what's the truth and what's fact? We don't know. I'm just going by, hey, what this fucking bullshit and all the media outlets same thing. So everybody's come to this conclusion. It's got to be something.
Makes sense.
I don't know how extreme. Maybe it's something. I don't know. I wish I did. That's the one thing that I never knew, like about things. I never knew what was going on with these celebrities. Like,
Yeah.
I have no idea. But it's another script that why we wouldn't be talking about it now if that didn't happen.
Right.
Whether it did happen or not, it's irrelevant. It's just a story, right?
Jeez.
That's it.
Yeah. True.
And some over in Europe might be saying Vince McMahon is like a whole nother storyline because WWE is worldwide.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? They don't want his name interfered with WWE over there. They want people to go there and know that the former commissioner was a fucking human trafficker for kids out of France.
That's an interesting. way
I
to
don't
put it.
know, but I'm like, what is the media's ploy to put this out there?
Yeah.
To speculate and give the perspective like he's a serial rapist or there's something else to the side of it to cover it up.
Yeah, it's like we predicted.
And it doesn't matter to me and it doesn't affect anything else. It's just my perception is like, it makes sense.
Well, we predicted the
And we
story.
might never know. Yeah.
We predicted the story based on the details that we were given at the time,
Yeah.
not even fully knowing that it was just a story.
Yeah.
Opposed to, we predicted the outcome of a highly competitive football league where all the best players in the world are, paid millions of dollars to drop passes and doink field goals.
Imagine that. The three-letter alphabet
Insanity.
organization.
Yeah.
What a mess, man.
Wow, fucking insane.
What a
I don't know
fucking
how.
mess.
I mean, I know how we got here. It's still a little bit unbelievable. I'm still a little bit in shock. Driving to work tomorrow morning is gonna be fucking crazy.
Yeah.
I just want to shout at the rooftops at the world. It's like, we called this a fucking year ago, you know, because of this and this and this. Now apply these patterns to everything else in the world that we've talked about, and Jesus fucking manickety Christ, we keep seeing the same outcome. Everything we talk about, things happen. It's like the universe is just being like, let these things conspire to prove Buff Brain Sportscast correct.
The matrix of
Which is a
theorem.
The
matrix of theorem.
a prominent theory and idea that we've gone with this entire time that we've been podcasting. Everything that we talk about, the universe is, things are going to happen to validate what we're talking about and to let you know that it's true. So if you take all this information and you kind of apply it to your own lives and you reach out to the universe and say, God, what's going on? Is this stuff true? You're going to get something back through a synchronistic occurrence. Just like we've demonstrated on this show a friggin' bazillion times now. And I say we as in, you know, Kev, myself, and the third party involved here. Not being Timmy. Timmy! What do you think about, the Chiefs and Super Bowl? Chiefs-Niners Super Bowl, Timmy? He's like, well, yeah. I told you so. At the beginning of the year, Timmy knew.
Timmy was the quiet assassin.
He's like, I just sit over here, box with strings on it, and you guys, strum and sing along sometimes, but I'm here with all the fucking answers.
The only the quiet alias.
Yeah, I'll have a song for you next time, y'all. But man, I could talk for probably another hour about how fucking right we've been and why we were right and all those details again, but I don't know. I think it's time to let it resonate and marinate. I gotta start thinking of a fucking title for this one. I don't really know what I'm gonna call it. I fucking told you so? I don't know. No, it'll probably be something like, well, we were right. Or basically more blunt, like we called the Super Bowl last year.
Like 20 chapters in the book.
Yeah.
Each one had its own chapter and it all fucking divulged. And we gave away the ending in basically every cast. Somehow.
Yeah, sorry we spoiled the season for y'all, but we knew how this one was going to go down.
I knew it for fucking weeks. And I said, oh my God. And I started losing all my picks. I said, I'm done.
Yeah,
I'm going to
man.
let this play out itself, and that's it.
Oh, shit. It's been an interesting one. We'll have to do a season closer, whether it's going to be during the Super Bowl or after the Super Bowl.
Maybe.
We'll see how that works out. And then after that, we'll probably plan another Big Brain University lesson, as well as start peppering in just some random videos about movie reviews and song reviews. And wake the fuck up, society. We're fucking sick of you assholes sleeping the fucking entire time.
The dead society.
If we have to call one more goddamn season the fucking Super Bowl winners again a third time, I don't think y'all deserve a third time being so goddamn spot on. Plus, next year's not going to be a season where we're going to be able to predict that much because next season's kind of a Wild West season.
Taylor Swift might be on the picture. I'm sure she will.
Right. So,
this is her one shot. This was their only shot. They wasn't going to drag out 4 seasons.
We'll show you how to do it next season when it comes along. We'll show you
and
how to
maybe the
read the
season will
fucking
calm
book.
down and I can rationalize with these numbers that they're putting out for the spreads.
Well, I mean, do we even know where the Super Bowl's going to be next year?
Atlanta, Georgia. So we can cross off Usher because he's going to be there, but he would be an Atlanta, Georgia type, I would think. Who's in Atlanta, Georgia? Is it Jay-Z? No, he's California. Usher's favorite team is Atlanta. But this is Super Bowl 2025.
Well, let's end the recording on that. We'll let them guess what we're going to talk about here.
It's in New Orleans.
Oh, in New Orleans. Okay.
New Orleans.
Okay.
New Orleans, Louisiana. It's in the following years in
Well, let us toss that around in our brains.
in Tennessee. I think Tennessee's. That would be a Taylor Swift Super Bowl because she's from Tennessee. But that's down the road when she has kids.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Taylor Swift might have her own team. Tennessee Swifts.
The Tennessee Swiss. Jeez.
Fucking A.
We can only.
Well, that's a wrap. I hope you got some valuable information, whether it was from the sports world, which we've always been talking about, or the polygraph world, or just life in general,
World traveling
and things, and figure it out.
Yep, indeed. Hey, we'll catch y'all next time. Y'all take care.
Guten Tag.